Order. All rise. Shh. Now, this is case number 29 on the calendar in the matter of Matthias versus Matheson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Matthias, you hired the defendant's firm to re-roof your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you claim that in the process of working in your home, they tortured your dog.
That's correct.
They entered your home without your permission, or someone entered your home without your permission. Nothing was taken, but you were forced to put new locks on the doors and windows. And you want the defendant to return the price of all the roofing materials that you paid for the house and for your aggravation.
Correct.
Okay. The defendant said his people didn't do anything and he should be paid for his work. I assume you were paid for your work, is that right?
No, I haven't been paid at all.
You haven't been paid at all?
No.
Okay. We'll see. What was the total cost of the job?
Total cost of the job after the second invoice was $7,597.
Can I see it, please? Did you give him any deposit?
No, ma'am.
So you gave him nothing?
No.
Did this price include the materials?
Yes, ma'am.
It did?
Yes, it did.
So you have paid for neither materials nor the roof?
I've paid for the materials, yes.
Who did you pay for the materials?
His supplier.
How much did you pay for his materials?
$2,400.
And is the material money that you want back?
Yes.
Oh. When were you supposed to pay him the balance?
I told him that I'd pay the balance after a person of the court told me to do so on good conscience. I cannot, after what happened.
Okay. Now, you were not at home when this work was done.
I arrived home at 3 o'clock and 2/3 of the job was complete.
You have, I assume, a witness who saw what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the witness? I assume you're the witness. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
My name's Karen Dick.
Are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
How far away from the plaintiff's house is your house?
They live directly across the street.
Would you tell me what you saw on that day?
Yeah, typically I get up in the morning and I prepare dinner for the kids. So I got up and I noticed out the window that we have over the sink that the neighbors were having their roof done. I went on about my business, and then as I'm looking out the window, I was at the sink doing something, I noticed there was a sort of a large dog. It wasn't a big dog. It was tall, but it wasn't too big. I didn't really recognize it. I've only been in the home with my boyfriend about 8 months, so I hadn't really met the neighbors. I've only said hello to them. I noticed the dog was on Joe's front lawn, kind of in the middle of about 5 gentlemen who, it seemed like they were just kind of scurrying the dog. I didn't know if maybe the dog got out. They were concerned this dog's, interfering with their work, if they were nervous. A few minutes later, I came back to the sink. I now noticed 2 of the workers have hammers in their hand, and they're swinging at the dog. The gates open, so I realized that the workers must have let the dog out. So at first I think maybe they're just trying to intimidate the dog.
What kind of gate was it? Was it a fenced yard?
It's a fenced yard, yes.
And you saw that
it was open, yes.
Now, when you saw them swinging these hammers, none of the blows connected with the dog?
I did not see that, no.
Okay.
As I'm watching, though, the dog showing no aggression, so that wasn't the issue. And the dog is kind of scurrying back, and it's sitting back on its back legs, so it was surrendering. They could have easily put it back. At this point, now they're playing a game. The hammers are getting closer to the heads. They're laughing, they're smiling. They're going to hit that dog. So I'm screaming hysterically at the top of my lungs, please stop, what are you doing? And they get my attention, so I'm standing there to make sure they understand I'm standing there watching this. At this point, the 2 men walk away and the dog's still there. I go back into the home, and my boyfriend's mother, who's about 82, comes into the house, and I'm trying to explain to her, because her English isn't great, I'm trying to explain to her what's going on, and I'm looking out over her shoulder. At this point, I see one of the 2 gentlemen with a rope in his hand starting to do this, and I know what he's going to do. And I'm watching this, and before I can react, he's already got the dog by the 2 back legs. He's yanked the rope, and by yanking the rope so hard, he forced the dog to flip over on the back side, and from the left side of Joe's house all the way to the front side, to the far right side of Joe's house, through the street, not on the side, but through the street, he drugged the dog on the dog's back.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm fine.
Was there any, when he did that to the dog, when he tied the dog's back legs, were they still right near the fenced-in yard?
No. Thank you. The gentleman that had the rope was standing in the street when he picked up the rope because he's walking down.
So the dog had moved?
The dog really hadn't really moved. The dog was still in the grass, from what I recall. He's still kind of on the grass. He hasn't really gone anywhere. The gentleman takes the rope, and he's walking this way. So he had gone down, I don't know if it's truck, I couldn't see from my window, but he was coming back. And when he came into my view, that's when he had the rope in his hand, and that's where he took the rope to the dog's legs. As he dragged the dog through the street, that's when I ran back outside, and I wanted to make my presence completely known that I'm watching this and I'm seeing who's doing this. Because he's tugged the rope so tight, there was no way for the dog to break free for quite some time.
How did the dog
Just by wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. At this point, the dog was able to run up to the front porch, and as I'm walking, because I'm moving this way, to see what's going on, the dog, I could see him burrow into the corner on the porch to just be left alone. The gentleman who had the rope walks up and kind of goes down and starts going, trying to get the dog to be nice. And I'm thinking, if you've done all this to the dog and you're not scared of the dog at this point, how could anyone evenly conceivably say that you were just intimidated by this dog and that's why you did any of this to get the dog back in the backyard? There was no intimidation by this dog. So I'm just standing there. I'm not going to leave until I can see this dog put back in the backyard. Eventually, the man does sit there. He pets with the dog, and he picks the dog up, and he does eventually put the dog in the backyard, close the door. I go in the house, and I don't know what to do. Again, I don't know the neighbors that well. I'm thinking, should I call the police? I don't want to stir something up, call the police, and then have a problem with the neighbors. So I'm thinking it's better for me to advise them first. I have to go to work, so I call my boyfriend, tell him what's going on, to please make sure that they're aware of what happened, to let them know when I come home from work, I will fill him in on the details. After I'd done that, I noticed the truck was open and I saw the phone number, so I called the number to see if I could talk to the owner of the company to tell him to please come out, and I would speak to him personally. When I called, the gentleman said that I'd have to leave my phone number, someone would have to call me back, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So I figure it's better for me to let things be until I get home to bring this out. And then that evening, that's when I went over and spoke to the Mathiases and told them what I had seen.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica and Joseph Mathias claim employees of contractor Glenn Matheson tortured their dog. The Mathiases say the workers hogtied their pet.
You also claim, Mr. Mathias, that the house was open.
Yes, it was.
Do you have a witness to that?
I have a witness from our mail carrier that said that she delivered...
No, you don't have a witness. If you don't
no, you're correct. I do not have a witness. I have a letter from the mail carrier. Okay, the mail carrier stated to me...
You can't tell me what the mail carrier stated.
Okay.
You can't give me a letter. I have to see a witness testify. You see, testimony is powerful. I can make a determination as to credibility, etc. There's no question that there was no property taken from your house.
I don't believe there was, no.
Good. You weren't there that day,
No, I wasn't.
so you don't know what happened.
Correct, just from what my foreman, Bernie, just told me.
Okay. What's Bernie's last name?
Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez, would you step up, please? You were supervising these men that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you watching them at all times?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see what happened with the dog?
Yes, I was there too. I was, when the dog came out,
When the dog came out of where?
from the yard.
How did the dog get out of the yard?
One of my workers go inside to collect the electric power, the extension cord, and the dog, he leave the door open, and then that's when the dog come out.
So one of your workers allowed the dog to get out.
Right.
Were you told, sir, that there would be a dog there?
Paperwork that I provide suggests that they keep the dog at a neighbor's house or inside the house.
That's not what I asked
No,
you.
I didn't know there was a dog there.
Okay. Go ahead. So one of your workers let the dog out.
So the dog come out and I start playing on the front yard, and I was talking to him by the phone, and so I saw the dog running,
Running in the front yard?
on the front yard, in and out, and then so I'm scared because I said, well, maybe the dog is gonna go away. So I tell my workers. So two workers come out from the roof to try to put the dog inside, back in the yard. But I never saw nobody hit the dog, nobody touched the dog.
No, there was no testimony that anybody hit the dog with the hammer.
Yeah,
There was
and
testimony that they were motioning to the dog with the hammer. Did you see the dog being tied up by the back legs?
no.
Well, that happened because there is no question in my mind that this lady is telling me the truth. Any question in your mind that the neighbor is telling me the truth, sir?
I have no idea. I don't
Well,
the
I
neighbor.
know, if you have no idea, I'm going to tell you that this lady is telling me 100% truthfully that the dog was tied up by the legs and pulled in the street. And if your worker, Bernie, didn't see that, then he didn't see everything. There isn't a reason in the world that this neighbor, who doesn't know these people from a hole in the wall, would come to court and lie for her and pick up the phone and call your company to tell your company.
I've got records that she didn't call.
Oh,
I get a log of every call that comes into my office.
that somebody records.
Correct.
So nobody recorded. Just a second.
No, either name or number. They
No.
don't care. They'll record a message.
She
Whatever the
wasn't
message
leaving her
is.
name and number.
Correct. She left a message. I show no message.
That's your problem.
Well, it
That's
states,
your problem.
it states that she didn't call me.
She called you.
She didn't.
Oh, yes, she did.
I don't have record of it. Every call that
But
comes
just
into my
because,
office
no, listen to me,
gets
sir.
recorded.
Listen to me carefully. Don't get defensive. You weren't there. Fortunately, you weren't responsible for this. But I can think of no reason why this woman, who is new to the neighborhood, would be so upset about what she saw to go outside, get the number from your truck, come inside, place a call, speak to somebody who said to her, according to her, which I believe 100%, leave me your number, somebody will call you back. She said, I'm not leaving my number, thank you very much, and she hangs up, and nobody records it in your log.
She said that they took a message to get me out to the job site.
No, that's not what she said. That's what you wanted to hear.
That's what I
What she
thought.
said was she wanted somebody to come to the job site, but they said to her, give me your name and your telephone number, and I'll have someone call you back. And she did not want to do that.
But she requested to leave a message. That message would have been taken and recorded
I didn't
and
say
sent to me.
Just to say, I heard what you said.
Correct.
You're not hearing what I'm saying?
I'm hearing.
I believe she called.
I don't believe she called.
Then that's your problem. Fortunately, I'm in charge. I don't know if Bernie is lying intentionally or if he didn't see everything or if he wasn't watching what was going on there. You think these people are trying to scam you out of a roof?
I believe they're trying quite a bit. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
No, 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 no. I think that the men that you hired did not do the right thing that day, and they were very angry. Whether or not it translates into them suing you for $5,000, I don't know. But there's no question in my mind, after listening to Bernie and listening to the neighbor, that she is telling me the truth. Bernie, two things. He either did not see everything or he's lying. Because he did not put the
I've
dog
never
back
known-
in the pen.
I've never known
He
Bernie
did
to
not
lie.
put the dog back in the pen, Bernie. She says somebody came to the front door, one of the men came to the front door and ultimately picked up the dog and put it back into the yard after they got finished doing the stupidity that they were doing to this dog.
I was told the dog was dragged back into the garage. I'm getting a lot of conflicting stories
Not
from
to
this
me.
side. Of course not.
Not to me.
I have.
Not to
I've
me.
received a number of different stories. And the dog doesn't get taken to the vet till 2.5 days, 3 days later after I tell him, no, I'm not going to settle for this. I'm not going to take your word or your neighbor's word. I'm not going to give you a financial benefit for this. I said, what do you want? He says, I want money from you. I own your company. I want a free roof. I said, I'm not going to give you a free roof. I'll sleep on it. He sleeps on it, comes back and says, I don't want to pay your labors. You know they're lying to you. You know anyone will lie in order to get paid. Well, to this day, they haven't been paid.
Two people attached to your company did the wrong thing that day with the dog.
It wasn't proven. You have
It's
one
proof.
witness.
Just a second.
You've
It's
got the
proven to-
vet who says there's nothing wrong with the
Just a
dog.
sec. I didn't say that the dog was injured, sir. The dog was maltreated. The dog was
She could have
maltreated.
misconstrued what was going on in some parts, yes.
No, this lady didn't come out twice screaming because she was misconstruing what was going on.
She was concerned about how scared she was. Call the police. The police could have been there and taken care of everything. Everything would have been solved right then and there.
It's a possibility. She could have done that. She
But
could
she
have called the
didn't.
police.
So there was
Give me a reason. Think of a reason.
Why she didn't call the police?
No, think of a reason why she would lie. I can think of a reason why Bernie would lie.
Why is that?
Because he was responsible. He was the foreman on the job. He was responsible ultimately for the performance of his men and
He's
what they
performed
did.
jobs
I'm
for me for 12 years.
I'm speaking. He was responsible ultimately for the performance. And if he came to you and said to you, I did in fact see two two of my guys who didn't know what they were doing, who were just sort of fooling around with the dog, and one did put a lasso around the legs, but meant to put it around the head to get it back into the house, or he didn't see everything, or he figured, say nothing. I can think of a reason for him to lie. I can't think of a reason for her to lie.
And I can't think of a reason for him to lie.
Well, I can. So, and that's the only thing that counts. So, you have to prove damages to me, sir. What were your damages? So far, you got a $7,500 roof for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. The hardware replacement for the door locks and everything.
Listen to me. I'm not entertaining your claim for any door locks.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm concerned, they didn't do anything with regard to going into your house.
Okay, I felt in good conscience I should pay the materials for the roof. I'm not going to pay him until an officer of the court tells me to pay him for the labor.
Well, that's not...
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
The pet clinic was $31.
Let me see the vet reports.
And all the material has not been paid.
I have the receipt for
Material
that,
from
Your Honor.
ALL has been paid, but not material from my yard. Not all material came from ALL.
Your countersuit is for $4,500 for defamation of character and lost wages. The defamation of character, I assume, has to do with these people saying things about your business.
Correct. Contacting the Better Business Bureau, threatening to contact the newspaper, and degrading my company.
They are entitled to do that.
Your Honor, he's also put a lien on my house, I believe.
I have every right to lien the house. I haven't been paid for a
You're
job.
absolutely right. Is this lawsuit supposed to determine that?
No.
So then why am I hearing your countersuit?
It's not for the lien on the house.
Well, what is it for?
It's for loss of wages for my men for the day, loss
what
of
day?
work, for today, for being here.
For today?
Correct.
Forget it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I believe that they have a perfectly valid claim against you because I believe that the people who represent your company did the wrong thing that day. First, they negligently let the dog out of the yard. That, at least, we know from Bernie. And after that, Bernie told them to go and take care of it. Then one of them dragged the dog across the property, not even the property, not even the grass, but into the street,
With
in
no
the gravel.
damages to the dog.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yes, this is case number 202 on the calendar in the matter of Longs versus Scroggins Body. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Longs,
Ma'am.
you were injured when a plate glass window was broken and shattered into your car, and you were severely injured, according to your complaint. You had glass all over you, as well as damage to the car, which was not a serious one, and your pet that was in the car was also severely cut. And it is your claim that the defendant's son is responsible for that, and you want him to pay your medical bills, pain and suffering, damage to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So why don't you tell me where this happened?
Okay, my husband, my younger brother, my dog and I were going to a local fast food restaurant, and we pulled up into the drive-thru and made our order. We pulled around to the window.
Who was driving?
I was driving.
You were driving.
And to be honest about it, I didn't know at the time that it was a window. I didn't know if it was a gun. I didn't know at the time what it was.
Tell me what you felt.
Just a million needles just going into my whole body. I mean, it's an indescribable pain. It was just like really, really bad.
After you felt this pain, did you have a consciousness to look around and see what had happened?
When it happened, I had started screaming, and my foot had come off the brake, which had caused my car to roll forward. My husband threw the car up in the park and got out of the car and went into the building.
Is your husband here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Could you step up, please?
I looked down in my lap, and my whole lap was covered with glass that was about that thick. I was afraid to get out of the car because I was afraid from the way I was driving that it would go in between my legs and cut me worse than what it had.
What happened next?
I heard my husband yelling, and I went to get out of the car, and the glass started scraping the insides of my leg. And I went up to the window, and I started to the drive-thru window, and I started screaming for my husband to call an ambulance because there was blood.
You were bleeding.
Yes. And I was telling Isaiah to get out of the car, I wanted to see if he was okay. He was okay, he wasn't bleeding. At that time, my dog went like this and put his paws up on the side of my car. And when he did, Your Honor, my dog's paw was all but completely cut off.
Is he okay?
No.
Were they able to save his paw?
Yes. We couldn't let him, lick at it or get anything on it. and they give him antibiotics.
But he's home with you.
No, ma'am.
Why?
My dog was so protective over me that he would not let nobody else come near me other than my husband. And my dog attacked a man at my husband's job. And so therefore, we either had to get rid of him or they had to put him to sleep.
So what did you do?
My mother-in-law has him. She has a bigger house than what we do, but he has to stay on a chain.
Okay. So what happened?
It was a little incident at work. It was over a female. Me and the guy got into it.
You and a co-worker got into an argument over a girl.
Yeah, he started.
And what happened when you got into the argument with the co-worker?
Well, apparently our boss separated us. She told me to go home. I went home. I was kind of heated at the time, and I was telling my mom what was going on. So me and my mom went up there.
Okay. Now, so what did you tell your mom? That you got into an argument with this co-worker? Was it over a girl that you knew?
Basically, yes, ma'am. It was his girlfriend.
It was his girlfriend. Had you made advances to this girl, or did he think you had made advances to this girl?
Yes, ma'am.
And what had he said to you during the course of this original argument, before you went home to your mother?
Well, we go get into it, no.
No, I don't know. I don't know what means get into it. Tell me what he said to you, what you said to him.
He said he's gonna kick my, and I told him, man, it's whatever.
You told him whatever?
Yeah.
Now your boss sends you home.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he comes home and he talks to you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you?
He told me that him and this boy had an argument.
Did he tell you what it was about?
He said it was over some girl.
Did you ask him any specifics?
I asked him, what kind of argument that y'all was in. And he just said, Mama, it was over a girl. He keep messing with me and stuff like that. I said, well, we'll go back to the restaurant. We're going to talk to the young man and the manager and you. We're going to get together to resolve this matter. When we get there, my son goes into the back.
Were you there?
Yes, ma'am, I was there.
Were you? No, just a second. Were you in the back with him?
I was in the back when they got to fighting, but when he went back there, no, ma'am.
When you went to the back of the restaurant, your mother was in the front of the restaurant. Who did you see in the back of the restaurant?
I seen him. And
The boy?
Yeah.
And? Did you say anything to him?
No, I did.
Did he say anything to you?
He said, what's up now? And I just walked right past him. And I laughed at him like, man, whatever.
You walked past him, you laughed at him, and then where did you go from there?
I went to go to the manager.
Did you get to the manager?
No, because by the time I got to the fry, he had hit me from behind. And he pushed me, tried to run me through the glass, and I caught myself.
Yes?
So I'm still facing him. By the time I brought myself back out, I didn't know she was there.
So far you didn't break the window?
Yes, I did. My back went through the window.
How could you be face to face, sir, if he pushed you from behind?
See, just...
So he hit you from behind, but you didn't go into the window.
No, he hit me, and then when I turned around, he rushed me. He ran me into the window.
Uh-huh.
When he did that, I had, got me a little brace, and my back went through the window, but I came back out the window.
Okay. Now, Ms. Scroggins.
Yes, ma'am.
You went to the workplace with your son to have a discussion with a manager.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me why you didn't say to your son, you stay out here, I'm going to speak to the manager.
Before I can tell him that, he had already went to the back.
How did you get to the store?
I don't live too far from there.
Did you walk or drive?
Walk.
Shh.
I drove.
Well, you drove, but your son walked. Did he walk behind the car or next to the car? How did that work? He said he walked. You said you drove. So did he jog along aside the car?
No, he was in the car with me.
All right. Did you discuss with your son how you were going to handle this situation?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell him?
I told him we was going to talk to the manager to resolve this problem because he has to have a job. That's exactly what I told him.
Fine. Did you tell him we're going to go in together and speak to the manager?
We went in together.
But then he left you.
I was standing at the counter.
Yeah?
He went behind to where the manager and stuff.
No, he went behind where the boy was.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shirley Long says she was in a fast food drive-thru when worker Paul Body broke the restaurant's window during a fight. Shirley says the shattered glass injured her and her dog.
Where's the other boy?
He is currently in jail.
For what?
I have no idea. I had to put cases against both of them, and the one was never signed because he is currently in Montgomery County Jail.
Okay. Can I see your bills, please? You still have any embedded glass in your body?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where?
I have it coming out of my left ear. It's in my head still.
You have any photographs?
It had went down into my breast, Your Honor, and it had went up underneath of them.
Okay. I don't have to see any more bills.
Okay.
Miss Scroggins.
Yes, ma'am.
You handled this matter all wrong. If your son comes home and says to you he's having some trouble with a guy where he's working, and the trouble started because of him, and if you want to resolve the situation, then you pick up the phone and you call the restaurant, you get the manager on the phone, and you say, we'd like to come over and have a discussion, all of us. I would like to be able to resolve this matter because my son really needs the job. And if at all possible, maybe we can resolve this dispute between the two boys. Does that sound intelligent?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead, right after the argument, when he was hot, because according to him, he was hot, he was angry, right? When he came home?
Yes, ma'am.
He was angry. You put him in the car and you drive over there because the situation was bad enough for the manager to send him home because he was the wise guy. And instead of saying to your son, you sit out here in one of these little tables, I'm going to find the manager, you let him go in the back where you knew the other guy was. Then the other fellow said to him, what are you doing here? He laughs at him, because that's what he just said. He laughed at him and he said to him, whatever. That's what you just told me.
So, okay, if somebody say they go kick my, then what I'm supposed to do?
Get another job. Go to another restaurant.
No, I got
It's not
rights
the
to
only
laugh.
fast food restaurant in town. And you don't mess around with somebody else's girlfriend.
You said anything about me messing around. I said I know her. There's a difference from knowing and messing.
Then what you do is you sit down calmly in your mother's kitchen and say, maybe we can resolve this because I didn't do anything wrong. Let's call my boss and go over there sometime after work when nobody else is around, and maybe the boss will die and this other guy will sit down and I'll tell him it's all a misunderstanding. I didn't do anything with your girlfriend. So, is it both of their faults?
I think it is.
Sure, but the other guy's in jail, so he has to pay the whole thing. Because but for the fact that you drove him over there when he was hot and angry, and he went back there and tormented him a little bit, laughed at him. She got hurt. She's suing you for $3,000. It's nothing. She still got glass in her head. It's probably what you have up here. Solid glass. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't like the way that the guy had come out here and tried to fight with my husband after the court was over.
For him to come out and act like he did, I mean, he's just a kid.
It would have been different if it would have happened to him. If the glass would have gotten embedded into his back, he surely wouldn't have probably been out here threatening my husband if he would have felt what I was feeling.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson, Obligacion versus Rogers. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Tabitha Obligacion and her mother, Katrina Johnson, are suing Tabitha's former friend, 20-year-old food service worker Deshaun Rogers, for chipping her tooth.
You're Tabitha? Your mother?
Yes.
It is your claim, Tabitha, that the defendant chipped your tooth
Yes.
while you were sort of fooling around at his mother's house. You want him to pay the bill.
Yes.
What were you doing at his house?
We were supposed to go to a party, but we stopped by his house.
So tell me what happened when you got there.
Well, we
Look
were
at
there.
me.
We were there for a few minutes, and then Deshaun took my purse and ran into the restroom. And I went in there to get my purse.
You mean just out of nowhere, he got up and grabbed your purse?
Well, yeah, like he was playing, I guess, and then he grabbed my purse. So he ran into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom after him to get my purse. He threw my purse into the bathtub, and then he closed the door. And then he started spraying me with 409, and then he started wrestling with me. And then the next thing I knew, he bumped my head on the sink, and it chipped my tooth. And the next thing I know, my tooth went through my lip, and I started bleeding. And then when he realized what happened, he stopped wrestling with me, and then he opened the door. And I ran out, and I was bleeding, and I realized I was bleeding. And then I went back to realize that my tooth was chipped. And then I went to go find the other half of my tooth, and then I found it, and then I glued it back on with super glue.
Tell me your version of the events, sir.
What had happened was all in the house playing with water.
What do you mean playing with water?
Was squirting water on each other. And what she did was she reached under the counter, she got my mom's spray. It's wood grain spray. So she ran in the bathroom, was playing around. She sprayed it in my eyes. So I walked out the bathroom, and I walked in the living room where everybody else was sitting, and that's when she ran out afterwards. And I ran outside after. I said, "What's wrong, Tabitha?" She said, "I chipped my tooth on your counter." I said, "How'd that happen?" She said, "I slipped when I was spraying the spray."
Tabitha, you left out the fact that you were all sort of fooling around with water.
We weren't fooling around with water.
Were you fooling around with anything?
No, he started spraying with 409, and I didn't have any 409 before that.
I didn't ask you about the 409. I asked you about whether you were all sort of fooling around when you were in his house. You see why it didn't make sense to me that he would just go and grab your purse. From nothing. You were all sitting around waiting for him to change, and he just grabbed your purse and went in the bathroom. So you want to start this again and tell me what you were all doing in the house? Were you there? Step up. Tell me your name.
Nicole.
All right, Nicole. What was going on with the water?
I didn't see that part because I was in the other room.
What were you doing in the other room?
Watching TV, waiting for them to get ready.
So you don't know anything about any water?
Well, I heard them yelling and stuff, but I didn't
What
see
did you
anything.
hear?
I heard her saying stop and let me out the bathroom and stuff like that.
I want you to tell me what happened when you saw her for the first time after she came out of the bathroom.
She was holding her mouth, and she pulled me into the backyard, and she told me what happened.
What did she tell you happened?
She said that she chipped her tooth while she was horseplaying with him.
Horseplay. Is that what she said? Is that what she said?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
I wasn't.
Is that what you said to your friend?
No, that's not what I said.
Well, why would she lie to me? Because she's telling me the truth. I chipped my tooth when I was horsing around with Sean. Is that what she said?
Not in those words.
Well, what did she say?
She said she chipped her tooth.
No, you didn't finish the statement.
Well, that's what I remember now.
You told me no less than 60 seconds ago that you came outside and she said, I chipped my tooth when I was horsing around with Deshaun. Now you're telling me that was a mistake?
Yes.
Sit down. Now, you want to get back to how were you fooling around with Deshaun?
Well, he got up and took my purse and ran into the bathroom, threw my purse into the bathtub, and then closed the door. So I couldn't get out anyways.
So you had followed him into the bathroom?
Yeah, because he took my purse because I didn't want him looking through it.
Were you laughing?
Was I laughing?
Yeah. With him?
It wasn't a laughing matter.
No, I'm asking you a question. At that point, were you sort of joking around, giving my purse?
No, because he took my purse, and that wasn't funny to me.
Something doesn't ring true here. Did you ever date him?
No.
So let me see what your dental bills are.
And Deshaun also came to my house because he knew that he had something to do with my tooth being chipped. And he
did.
And he gave me $100, and he also, and Nicole was also there. She did witness this, and she also witnessed him saying that he was going to make more payments because $100 was not going to just cover the bills.
Absolutely. I absolutely think it was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And tell me why you gave her the $100.
Because I felt bad for her.
No, because you felt partially responsible.
Yeah.
Were you there? Step up. Tell me your name.
Dwayne.
Dwayne. Tell me what you saw.
Well, everybody was in the kitchen, like, playing around. Like, I was getting wet with water, too. And them two, they started going towards the back, spraying each other. Both of them was playing around.
What were they spraying each other with?
409 spray. Wood
How many
grain.
spray cans were there?
It was one.
Well, how could they both spray each other? Who had
Like,
the can?
It was like back and forth thing. And I didn't see no purse in the bathroom anywhere.
Wow. How old are you?
16.
And how old are you?
I'm 20.
Should know better. So should you. But since boys develop more slowly, he's probably about the same mental age as you are. Maybe even a little younger. It's true, you know that. Your daughter is partially responsible for what happened. They were fooling around. Immediately after the incident, that's exactly what she told her friend. Do you understand?
I don't believe that, though, because my daughter...
I don't care what you believe.
Yeah.
That's not what important what you believe. The only thing that's important is what I believe.
Okay.
And what I heard initially from her...
That's not what happened, though.
Yes, it is. They were fooling around. I think that he has to pay something towards what happened. He gave her $100. Half of your bills are $590. He gave her $100. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which means he owes you $490. That's the judge.
9-year-old Autumn Decker and her son, 5-year-old Connor, are suing 44-year-old Marie Moore. Autumn says Marie's Malamute puppy bit Connor in the face.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 261 on the calendar in the matter of Decker versus Moore. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mrs. Decker, the defendant's dog bit your son on the face.
Yes.
The defendant does not deny that her dog bit your son, but her defense is that you failed to supervise your son, and that's really why he was bitten. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did this happen?
On September 9th.
Where were you?
We were at Riverside Park in Grand Rapids at a Indian powwow.
How large is this powwow? How many people attend the powwow?
A couple hundred.
Was it crowded?
Fairly.
What time did it happen?
Approximately between 3 and 3:30 in the afternoon.
Where was your son?
We had gotten back with food and he was about 5 feet behind me. We were sitting in the booth.
What booth?
My friend's stepfather owns a jewelry booth and then her mother has a candy booth and we were with them.
Who was watching your son?
He was amongst all the other kids.
How many other kids?
4.
You didn't see this attack?
No.
How old is he?
5.
Is he smart 5?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor. Connor, would you come and sit up here for me? Because I can't see you over that high table.
Can you get up there? Here we go.
Hi, Connor. Do you know who I am? You know what
Judge Judy.
Right. Do you know what my job is? Do you know that you're in a court? Do you know what happens in a court? Did your mom tell you?
No.
Well, let me tell you. In a court, 2 people have a disagreement, and I'm supposed to make a decision as to who's right and who's wrong. You understand that? So it's very important that the people who tell me things in court tell me only the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the truth is?
Yeah. People tell the truth.
Hopefully, they always tell the truth. Do you always tell the truth? Do you remember when you were at the powwow in Riverside Park? Remember that day? Do you remember the day you got bitten by the dog?
Yeah, it did.
It did what?
Bit me right here.
Do you remember what the dog looked like? Don't remember. That's maybe a good thing.
He does.
Was it a big dog or a little dog, Connor?
Big.
Did you go up to the dog to pet it?
Yeah.
And what happened when you went up to the dog to pet it?
Her asked me if I wanted to pet it, and I said yes. And
Who asked you?
the lady, and I said yeah, and I said it to pet it, and it bit me.
So the lady asked you if you wanted to pet it. Did any of the other children want to pet the dog?
Shane did, and it didn't bit him.
It didn't. Show me where the dog bit you, Connor.
Right here, and you can't really see that one.
Did the lady who had the dog help you after the dog bit you? Who came to help you?
My mom.
Okay. All right, Connor, you can go and sit down over there. Okay. What happened immediately after your son was bitten?
When I heard him scream, I got up. I had put my food down, turned around. Somebody was holding him. I don't know if it was the defendant or my friend's mother. I wasn't even paying attention. I immediately grabbed him. Somebody was handing me paper towel, and I was going for first aid. And I saw out of the corner of my eye the defendants headed towards the parking lot with the dog.
What kind of dog was it?
A white Malamute.
That's a pretty big dog.
Yes.
Connor went to the hospital?
Yes.
And what happened at the hospital?
We waited for approximately 5 hours, and then they sedated him and gave him 9 stitches in the face.
Did you have consultations with plastic surgeons with regard to the scar on his face?
They do not want to see him until the scars are at least 6 months old.
Now I'll hear your version of the story.
We were at the Indian powwow the 9th of September. My friend Wolf Runner and his wife had booths. There are thousands of people there. It's a very large Indian gathering.
So it's very crowded?
Very, very noisy. A lot of people coming and going. We were behind his booth. The 3 children that were together, my friend Wolf Runner introduced to me as his grandchildren. Connor being one of them, and the other boy being another, and there was one other. I don't know his name.
There were a lot of other dogs there?
Quite a few, on leashes, just like mine. We kept mine by the booth. The little boy, brother, had pet the dog. I was sitting right there. The dog was on his haunches, sitting. Not a problem. We were very careful. He is a big puppy. He's still a puppy.
How old is he?
He's a 1.5 years old. I have pictures.
I'd like to see the picture.
Okay. We were in back of the booth getting ready to say goodbye to my friends Bonnie and Wolf Runner. The dog was sitting on his haunches. My friend Rick, my witness, had the dog by the leash. I had him by the collar. The little boy wanted to pet him. The dog never got up off his butt. He petted the dog's nose. My dog never growled, barked, nothing. I don't know what happened. He turned his head. The dog, within a second or less, grabbed his face. Rick had him down on the ground. I picked the little boy up. He was still standing. I called Bonnie, who I thought was his grandmother. That's who I was introduced to. And Bonnie came running out, and I handed the little boy to his mother, if that's who it was. And the dog was never loose nor anything.
I understand that.
Yeah.
There's no question that the dog was on a leash.
Right. And after the bite, Wolf Runner said, "Get the dog out of here." I don't know what agitated it. Get him out. I said, "Please let me know as soon as possible." And he said he would.
Okay. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Richard Skyo.
Mr. Skyo, if you were to relate to me the events of that afternoon, would they be pretty much consistent with what the defendant had just told me?
Yes, ma'am.
So the little boy did absolutely nothing to the dog?
No.
The little boy came up, touched the dog on the nose. The dog did not flinch. He didn't torment the dog. He didn't spook the dog. And the dog, when he turned his face, the dog just went for him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Autumn Decker says her son, 5-year-old Connor, was bitten in the face by Marie Moore's dog.
It's not a difficult case. Here we have a situation where you have a child who's been injured by your dog. I don't even have to ask you whether your dog has bitten anybody else before.
No.
I assume not.
Never.
But the dog did bite this child.
Yes, he did.
And who should bear, first, the financial cost of the doctor's bills, etc., with regard to the dog? Clearly, you have to do that. You know, it's always difficult when you take a dog to a large gathering. I'm a dog owner, and I know that even my little dog gets a little nervous when they're around so many, she said hundreds, you said thousands of people. When you have a big dog that's around thousands of people and there are kids, you sometimes run the risk of your dog becoming more agitated than normal, more anxious than normal. So you are clearly responsible. I don't think that you're bad people. You did have your dog on a leash, but you're clearly responsible. I don't buy into this sometimes artificial statutory scheme which says that every dog is entitled to one bite before the owner's liable. In my view, which is, I believe, the common law view of this kind of situation, you have an innocent party and a guilty party. The guilty party had a dog, looks like a lovely animal, but certainly capable of doing damage, and did damage, and you're responsible, absolutely. Your request for judgment is for $3,000, which I assume includes your medical bills and whatever plastic surgery Connor is going to have to fix that scar on his face. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He filed enough papers in our county that they came to my home and took my dog and killed him.
Any dog that bites, especially a child, should automatically be euthanized after the quarantine.
The lady asked me if I wanted to pet it, and I said, yeah, and I came up to pet it, and it bit me.
And now the next case.
All parties on Punterero versus Peach. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Corinne Punterero is suing her ex-roommate, 22-year-old student Rebecca Peach, for breaking a lease. Rebecca says she moved out because she needed gallbladder surgery.
Ms. Pontuero, according to your complaint, you and the defendant know each other from college, and you had decided to room together for this coming year.
Yes.
When did you sign the lease?
Last year.
What month?
I believe it was in April.
And at some time, about a month later, the defendant decided that she did not want to live with you, and you've had to move into this rental by yourself. You want her to pay her share of the year's rent.
Yes, it's a 3-bedroom apartment. There's me and one other housemate. And with her not living there, we're responsible for her rent. our landlord is now taking us to court for her part of the rent. In the lease, it says that no matter what, you're jointly and severely responsible for fulfillment of the lease.
Severally, not severely, severally. Let me have the lease, please.
I have this from both years.
Okay. When did you change your mind?
I actually have an email I've written to Corinne. It's dated June 12th. That states that I won't be coming.
It's dated what?
June 12th.
Okay, you changed your mind June 12th.
It wasn't so much changing my mind. I was very ill. Corinne and I were disagreeing. It was not a very good living environment for myself. And I have doctors, notes, everything. It was impossible for me to come back to school.
So then what did you do to try to get a new roommate?
With me being sick, it was hard.
What
That's
were you
why
sick with?
I had my gallbladder taken out 2 years ago. I vomit a lot. I throw up a lot. That's why I had written her the email to let her know that I won't be back, that I'm going to need help with this.
Let me see the email.
I have it highlighted of where I said I wasn't going to be back.
You were all supposed to move in on the end of August. Is that right?
Yeah.
And according to this lease, the landlord wanted payments for the rent in two parts, $4,000 in the beginning of one semester, and then in the spring semester, another $4,000. The spring semester doesn't start until when? February, March?
January.
January. And what you're suing her for is really 1/3 of the entire lease. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't know about this vacuum cleaner and television set.
Your Honor, I also have an email dated June 12th also. She never said anything about being sick. She never gave me that reason.
We were fighting. I didn't feel the reason. I need to explain myself.
Well, it's a rather nasty email, and it seems to me a lot of other things going on other than just your former gallbladder condition, Ms. Peach. You had an obligation to try to locate a third roommate to take over your obligation under the lease.
I understand that.
You have an obligation to what they call ameliorate your damages, which means you too have to make an effort to locate a third roommate.
We posted these all around campus, and usually when everybody looks for an apartment, you sign the lease well ahead of time. Right now, everybody in school already has signed leases for their living arrangements next year. So finding a roommate now is next to impossible because everybody already has their apartments.
Well, at this point, yes, but probably not in June, and certainly not for the spring semester.
Well, we've been looking. We found
because
somebody...
situations change, so there is no way that I'm going to grant you an award for the entire amount of the rent that's due and owing, because the spring semester is a whole different scenario. Having had kids in school, I know that after a few months in college, situations change. And kids say, I don't like living with you, and I don't like living with you. I'm going to look for a new roommate. You make new friends, so you can find yourself in a position of filling up that third bedroom, which I'm sure you use now occasionally anyway. You have visitors come up and they use that room?
Actually, it's pretty empty.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do you sometimes have visitors, friends come up and use that room? Parents, anybody else?
Not that room, no.
They don't use that room. It just stands as a shrine to the defendant. What's next?
If I may interject for a second.
Sure.
The TV we had bought together, I had left her half the money for it when I moved out in the summertime. And the vacuum cleaner, I don't remember us having one second semester because our first semester housemate took it with her. We didn't have a vacuum the second semester.
Well, that's what some of the other things she's suing for, a vacuum cleaner and a television set.
I had gotten a phone call from the Fredonia Police Department about me stealing a television and a vacuum cleaner. Now, when I went up to school, I made sure nobody was there. I took all of my stuff out, left her half the money for the TV we bought together, which was $60.
And did you take the TV?
And I took the TV with me. And I did not take the vacuum. I'm living at home. I don't need the vacuum cleaner.
At the time, I didn't know she had left the money because my other housemate had set it aside for me, but she wasn't home. So I went to the police department and I filled out this report, and I find it hard to believe that the TV and all her stuff would be gone, along with the vacuum cleaner,
Well,
but
she
didn't
says she
take
took the TV, but she left you money, which you acknowledge because
Yes.
your roommate had the money.
Yeah, she
and
took
just
the money.
didn't tell you, so you included the TV in the police report that you filed against her, and the TV should not have been included in that police
Well,
report.
she says that we bought the TV together, and we did not. I bought it on my credit card, and I have the receipt here if you want.
We split that.
Well, it's very possible you put it on your... I'm not going to get involved with $60 for a television
That's fine
set.
too, but I did not take a vacuum cleaner.
There's no proof that you took the vacuum cleaner. What's next?
Well, I have all the copies of the bills from last semester. that some of them we still owe, some of them are in her name, some of them are in mine.
I just got a $617 phone bill in my name, which shouldn't, I don't know why it's still in my name, but I just received this phone bill from the phone company.
Let me see. Why don't you, Bert, instead of my looking at them, why don't you have them exchange these bills and look at them?
Your Honor, I acknowledge these bills.
Good.
What I want to say is that I never received them to pay them.
Okay, so there are $624.17 in bills that she says that you owe from last semester, and you got a phone bill for $600.
And $17, yes.
Right?
Actually, all these numbers are her numbers. They're all in Long Island. They're all West Palm Beach.
There's Buffalo and there Williamsville from her town. So
well, I will be glad to go through them and find out which ones are mine, but the vast majority of them are from hers.
Let me see. You expect me to go through all these charges?
No.
Good. Then step outside. Call you back in 5 minutes. Here, Bird, send them outside with this. Thank you. Okay, so who was Talkie Sally?
Well, I went over the long-distance bills, highlighted what I owe, everything from the Buffalo and Buffalo area, and I owe $9.30.
Is that right?
I guess so. I didn't really look at it.
What do you mean?
She had it.
Really
She had the
look?
calculator.
All right, so let me see the entire phone bill, please. All right, Miss Peach.
Yes.
So from your phone bill of $617, the plaintiff owes you $9.30.
That's fine.
So it's a good lesson. Miss Peach, your lesson is as follows. How old are you?
22.
If you're 22, you're an adult. When you're an adult and you enter into a contract, you are obligated to fulfill your contract. You're no longer a kid. But you have an obligation, too, to reduce your damages. You can't sit there with a 3-bedroom apartment and say, well, now I have a bedroom for myself, a bedroom for my roommate, and I got a whole area for storage. Don't play with paper when I'm talking to you. It's rude. So I believe that you are entitled to this semester's portion of her rent for the fall semester, because I agree with you that it could have been difficult in June to try to find a new roommate. That doesn't mean that I believe that you can't find somebody else for the spring semester. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily don't have a cause of action against her if, in the spring semester, after a good faith effort to locate another roommate, you're not able to locate another roommate. This award will cover this semester's rent, clear, plus your utility bills from last year. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,948.
Case number 134 on the calendar in the matter of Apolinario versus Madison. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat.
You folks rented a room in your home to the defendant, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And your complaint alleges that her little boy broke a computer?
That's
right. There's a very short piece about the computer in your complaint. And a very long piece about a piece of Tupperware that she took.
Here they are.
So, it says that you rented one of your master bedrooms in your home. Why did you decide to do that?
For extra money, Your Honor.
Did you put an ad in the paper?
Yes, we put it in the ad in the papers.
And she responded to the ad?
She responded to the ad, and she seems to be a nice person. And on the first day, she told us, it looks like that she already knew us. She tell us a lot of stories about her problems, even the first meeting. So
you decided to rent her a room?
That's right.
Yeah. And you were living there with your son?
I was.
How old is your son?
He was 4.5. And when I responded to the ad, I talked to them. I wanted to meet them and see if I can trust them and everything like that. And they lied to me. They told me that they only have 3 kids and a niece that living in that house. And then I found out when I was already living there, there were like 11 people with 2 sisters and 2 children of each.
So why didn't you move out?
I moved out because...
No, why didn't you immediately when you found out that there were so many people there? If that bothered you, why didn't you leave?
Right. I was in the middle of job changed. And it was so many furnitures. I have a lot of things in the storage and a lot of stuff that I have to move. And it was a hassle because I got a new job nearby to that house in that city. So I thought that I can have a good relationship with them.
Fine. So it didn't make any difference to you that there were so many people living there?
Right.
You stayed there?
I did.
All right. Now let's get to the broken computer. This is not a big deal. You had a son. How old is he?
He was 4.5.
You say he broke your computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who saw him do that?
I got a witness, my daughter, who was inside the room at the time.
How old are you?
8.
8? What is your name?
Angeline.
Angelina? Come up here. Have a seat. Can you get up there? Sure you can. Hi.
Hi.
Did you go to school?
Yeah.
I have a few questions to ask you, okay? Because you're only 8 years old, so I have to find out whether I can swear you to take an oath in court. You're very pretty. Are you nervous?
No.
Don't be. What grade are you in school?
Second, but I'm going to be in 3rd.
Do you have a best friend in school?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell a fib?
No.
A lie?
No.
Did you ever tell a lie to your folks? To your mom, to your dad? Even a little one?
No.
Not even a little one?
Yeah.
When you told a little lie to your mom and dad, did you get punished?
Yeah.
Now, if I were to tell you that this was a duck, would that be the truth or a lie?
Lie.
Because it's what?
About that.
Now, Angelina, if I were to tell you that the judge, you know, that's me, right, is a young, beautiful woman, would that be the truth or a lie?
Truth.
Yes! Very smart little girl. Very smart little girl. Okay. Could you do me a favor, and I'm going to let you sit there. Can you raise your right hand? You know your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know this lady's little boy?
Yeah.
What's his name?
DJ.
Did you see him do anything to the computer?
Yeah.
What did you see him do?
He put the disk in the computer.
And did something happen to the computer after he did that?
Yeah, it broke.
How do you know it broke, Angelina?
Well, I didn't really check it, but my brother told me it was broken.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now listen to me. You're not going to waste my time with Tupperware that's worth $3.
Not even. It's at my cost. It's only $1.65.
And later today,
all she could do was stand there and let him abuse me after 8 years of friendship.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marissa Madazan, a 34-year-old travel agent, says she should not be responsible for damage that Amante and Emma Apolinario say her son caused to their computer.
Now, did you have a discussion with the defendant about this computer?
Yes, Your Honor, and many times she agreed to repair it. She even called her friend to look at it. And all I was
Did you do that?
Yes, I tried, but I told them that I cannot accept it. But they are all over me and telling me that my son is the youngest, that he's the only one capable of destroying that computer.
Yes, go ahead.
She's a liar.
No.
She keeps on promising us, especially me. She told me before, after she moved out, after June 15, she went back to my house. And she said, I asked her, where is the parts that you want to buy for our computer? She said, oh, I already ordered it. I already ordered it,
Did you
and
tell
it's
her
my
that?
mind. That's
Did
my
you tell
responsibility.
her that you had already
That's
ordered
what
the
she
parts?
said to me.
Shh. Did you tell? Listen to me. Did you tell her that you had ordered the parts for the computer?
I said I will order it.
Okay. Well, then you agreed to pay for it. How much were the parts?
It's $100 something.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I thought that the CD-ROM was the only defective, but it wasn't the CD-ROM that was defective.
Sir, you didn't pay all that much money for the whole computer.
I did.
No, you didn't.
What happened is, when they told me that the computer is broken, the computer is all over, I mean, it's torn apart.
Bottom line is you agreed to pay for the parts.
This is what I
Period.
said.
You agreed to pay for the parts. Now, how much were the parts that you agreed to pay for?
It's $125.
Okay. Next, what's about this Tupperware? Tell me about the Tupperware.
Can I just say something before
No,
that?
tell me about the Tupperware.
Okay.
I'm getting frustrated.
Wesley went on June 15. It was June 15. Yeah.
June 15, she left the house, and then she went back. She left Sunday. She went back Wednesday, and me and my husband and my kids are there, supposed to be leaving, going to church. And she went by, and then
Give
she
me the
said,
Tupperware,
okay,
please.
the Tupperware. She's asking me about the Tupperware. I saw it in the garage. I told her, I never see any Tupperware of yours. What I know is...
What is in the bag, madam?
This is what happened. Before I left on Sunday...
Is that the Tupperware that,
yes, it is.
You're wasting my time about? Could I see it, please?
Here.
Yeah, it's funny.
Just a second. Whose Tupperware is that?
Mine.
Both items?
Yes. Okay. And I have more other parts that were stolen from their garage.
That's all I'm hearing.
That's why I wanted to tell you the story. Before I left, I asked her permission if I can leave my boxes because I didn't have any more room in my car, that I can pick them up.
Which, not interested in that. Which of these two items do you say is yours?
All of those are mine. I have a receipt here that I have lots of Tupperware in my house.
She bought my Tupperwares. I'm a dealer for less cost. Less cost of what I bought of my Tupperware. She bought.
Oh, you're not going to listen to me. You're not going to waste my time with
I got a
Tupperware that's worth $3.
I know, that's right.
Not even. Not even. It's not my cost. It's only $1.65.
Fine. Would you you're giving it to her? Perfect. We've resolved the Tupperware.
I have plenty. She bought all my Tupperwares.
We've just resolved the
I'm a dealer.
Tupperware.
Can I say something?
About what?
She came to my house and she got the Tupperware without my knowledge. Without
I told her needs.
I'm the owner of the house.
Listen to me. Wow.
She admitted.
I couldn't believe when I read this complaint that there were 2 lines about a broken computer and 20 lines about Tupperware. I couldn't understand that. I still don't understand that. It must be very valuable Tupperware.
Well,
you now have it back. Quiet. Look, you have to pay them $125. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Pinkham versus Crawford. Step forward, please.
26-year-old waitress Catherine Pinkham is suing her former friend and roommate, Chandra Crawford. Catherine claims she was kicked out of their apartment after getting into a fight with Chandra's fiancé.
Okay, you two ladies were long-term friends, I gather. And there came a time when you were living at different parts of the country, but you decided to move to California. Correct? Yes. And you decided to live together. Made arrangements to live together. You were looking for the right kind of place. And you were moving to sunny
California.
Right. But in the meantime, you found a boyfriend.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
So instead of being the 2 of you, it was going to be 3. You should have known right then and there. 2's company.
3's a crowd.
So why don't you tell me what happened and what you're suing her for?
Okay, well, I spent over $3,000 just in moving expenses, moving cross country. That is not what I'm suing her for. Basically, it's we made arrangements. We started about 1.5 years ago that we're going to live together as soon as I finish school. I received my degree. I moved cross country. I was in the house from September 8th until the 21st of the month. That night, I realized that, well, actually, I realized little things here and there over a period of time that her boyfriend and I did not get along. I didn't like the way he was treating her.
What was wrong with the way he was treating her?
He tells her what to wear. She waits on him hand and foot. She pays all the bills for him. He has no job. He drives around in her car all day, sits on his butt and watches video games. And I just didn't like the way I ended up paying, like, I was supposed to originally pay 1/3 of the security and 1/3 of the rent. All of a sudden, before I was moving out, oh, can you pay half the security and half the rent? And I'm like, well, what about timeshare? Well, his job didn't come through yet, and da-da-da-da. And basically, I want you to pay half, and then we'll reimburse you. Well,
so did you do that?
I paid half, and I have receipts right here.
How much did you pay altogether?
$13.50, and I have all the receipts with her name.
Okay.
And then I agreed to do it as long as he paid me his share back. I never saw the money. And I'm like,
I was there for 2 weeks. There were squabbles here and there. They tried to throw me out after 3 days because he disliked my sister. So they didn't like my friend that came out with me that was also helping me in the move. So he decided, because he didn't like my sister and didn't like my friend, he wanted me out. So he tried to throw me out after 3 days, and I stood my ground and I said, listen, you know, I've invested all this money into this place. The last thing I want to do is leave right now. I mean, it was just a big mess. Well, after he barely ever maybe said 2 or 3 words to me at a time.
What happened at the end of September when you
Okay,
left?
what happened the night is I wasn't feeling well one day. We were watching TV. I mentioned there was a commercial on for pesto crust pizza. I mentioned that I disliked pizza because I was living on the East Coast and that I prefer the pizza on the East Coast better and that I don't recommend eating it. He got up, stormed out of the room, and slammed the door. So I was just sitting there going, okay, what just happened? She came in the room 5 minutes later, Chandra did, and said, you've been bitching all day, about all kinds of things, and, you know, I can tell you don't feel well, and, you know, and I said, listen, Chandra, I said, I'm going to find my own place. It's just not working out because he's just not being very nice to me, and I've made efforts to be nice to him, and it's not working.
Okay, so?
So she went outside and told him that I thought it would be best that I moved out. He wouldn't come into the house, so when she came into the house, I kind of said, well, I don't feel well, but I'm going to go out and run some errands so he can come into the house and you guys can talk, and I'll come back in a bit. I leave, I come back, I see him tearing down the street in her Jeep. I pull up to the house, she comes outside of the house shaking her head, going, you can't be here in 5 minutes. He said it was either you or him. And I said, you chose him? She goes, yes. And I said, well, can I go into the house and get some of my things? As I was in there, he came back. He was calling me pretty much every profane word you can think of, being very, very rude, getting in my face, threatening me, overpowering me, and, you know, and
So
I was
you left that night?
I left that night with nowhere to go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I wouldn't pour water on her. She was standing next to me on fire.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Pinkham is suing her former friend and roommate, Chandra Crawford, because Chandra and her fiancé kicked her out of their apartment. Chandra and Tom say Catherine violated the terms of the lease.
All right, so far I have $1,350 for security deposit. What else are you suing for? Because
Okay.
the total lawsuit is $1,700.
Okay. I'm also suing for moving expenses for the truck that I had to rent the second day when I went back to get my things.
How much was that?
That's $153.
Mm-hmm.
And then another $153
For what?
storage.
What
I had to
storage
get a
for what?
storage unit to put my things in. I was afraid they were going to be trashed, so I went back the following day with the police to get my things.
All right, Miss Crawford, first of all, where is Dream Boy?
Your Honor,
Where is he?
he's at work.
Got a job?
Yes, ma'am.
When did he get a job?
He was employed the day after she left. She left on a Sunday. He went to work that Monday.
Did he send her any money?
The arrangements to pay her back was between her and I.
So did you send her any money?
I tried to contact her, Your Honor. She never returned my phone calls. She never, after September 29th was the last time I spoke to her on the phone when she called me at work. I said, call me next week. I will make arrangements. She never bothered calling me back. She never left me a forwarding address. I tried on 3 separate occasions.
Did you feel badly about it?
Yeah, I felt horrible. We were best friends for 8 years. I mean, honestly, I really did not know this was going to happen.
Let me ask you this question. Tom clearly, when she was living there, was not employed and was home a good deal of the time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long was it that he wasn't employed full-time, that you were supporting him?
Your Honor, I wasn't supporting him.
Who
but
was?
He had part-time work.
Not when
and
she
it was
was
about
there.
3 months total.
So it was
but
about
I was
3
not
months.
supporting him. He was drawing off his savings.
So he had savings?
Yeah.
So why didn't he put in the money for his share of the security deposit from his savings instead of asking a stranger for it?
I asked her for it, Your Honor, because we were friends.
But that's not fair. If you have a boyfriend who's got savings, why should you ask her to dip into her meager savings to pay for him? Did you know that Tom had savings?
I did not know that.
Did Tom know that you asked her for money?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
How old is he?
26.
Does he have children?
Yes, ma'am, he does.
How many?
2.
How did I know that? Do you have children?
No, I don't.
How old are you?
28.
Mm-hmm. Where are Tom's children?
His wife and he have joint custody. They're with their mother most of the time.
Was he sending support for his children?
Yes, he was.
When he wasn't working?
Yes, he was. He was drawing it out of his savings.
I don't believe that. Miss Crawford, how long have you been with Tom?
About 6 months.
Keep your eyes open.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right, there is no question. I believe her that you threw her out of the house. According to your own answer, you pretty much say, I had to make a choice. Tom or her. I mean, you go through a lot of things here when you say, well, she didn't follow the rules and everything else. But I think that you know that you owe her this money. It's clear to me that your boyfriend clearly didn't like sharing his home with someone who was disapproving of the way he was behaving, especially the way he was treating you. You probably did things that irritated Tom, and that he's had a sense from the way you were acting that you were disapproving. So I can understand him not particularly liking you.
So can I.
But you can't throw her out of the house. You made that choice, and now you got to pay her. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for the amount requested in the complaint, which is $1,782. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. 24-year-old Jennifer Leporati says when she split from 28-year-old Sean Chattel, he kept the camcorder and still owes her for a loan.
Order, all rise. All rise, please.
Your Honor, this is number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Leporati versus Chattel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
You lived together for a while in his parents' home. Is that right?
No, I always resided at my father's house, but I did spend time at his mother's.
Did you ever sleep there?
Yes.
More than once a week?
Yes.
All right. According to your complaint, he owes you $350. $250 that you gave him to pay back some money for his daughter's school,
His son,
daycare,
yes.
or his son's school. How old is this child?
4.5.
Were you married to his mother?
Yes, I was for 4 years.
And when were you divorced?
About 3.5 years ago.
So how old is the child?
4.5. He was 1.
He was 1 when you
Yes.
separated. And in addition to the $250 that you lent him for the child's daycare, you had purchased a camcorder together for $200. When you split up, he kept the camcorder.
Correct.
Your defense to this action, sir, is?
I have the camcorder, yes.
Okay. You have the camcorder and you
I've
paid?
always had possession of it, yes.
And she paid?
We went in on it together as like everything that we do together. We just we buy something, we owned it, and it just surprised me that she asked for the $100 back. So
Because he decided since he broke up, it was his house, it became his possession, no longer mine.
Okay, so let's take care of this $100 camcorder first. You weren't married?
No.
So you each put in half of the camcorder?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It was $200. You kept the camcorder?
Yep.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
Tell me why.
Because, for one, it was my idea to buy it. It was my partner that I bought it from, and she's, never even used it, and it needed work, so I had to pay for the work to be done on it.
When did it need work?
We didn't even use it, but maybe a couple of weeks, and then I needed to buy a new battery for it. The charger went bad, so it wasn't even working. I paid for all that.
But he's forgetting to let you know that when we bought the camcorder, I put up the $200 up front, and then he paid me back the $100 for it.
Just a second. You say here in your answer to her complaint that the friend that you bought this camera from was a really good friend, and he was selling you this great camcorder for a rock-bottom price.
Correct.
Well, so why don't you think that you owe her half, which is the $100 that she put in? Otherwise, it seems very inequitable to me, sir, that you got the camera and she's got nothing.
Okay, I guess I look at it like if we were to have we have other possessions together. Say she bought me a skateboard. Am I supposed to give her half the skateboard money back because she bought it for a gift?
This is not a gift, sir. I mean, don't you
Everything
understand the
we
difference?
bought together was ours.
This is not a gift. There's a difference between a gift and something you went into together. She put up the $200. You gave her $100 back. That means you bought this as a joint item. Assuming that you were married, it would be considered community property.
Correct.
Court would order it to be sold. You'd get 100. You'd get 100, or one of you would get the camera, and the other one would have to pay the other for half of its value. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's a difference between that and buying you a skateboard, sir, because you can only fit one behind on a skateboard, the last I looked. Right?
Sure.
All right, so $100, Ms. Laporte, you have. Now, what about this $250?
Well, when we were going out, I used to front Sean money for various bills, like his son's daycare, etc.
Why did you do that?
Because I loved him, and he always was responsible and always paid me back on time, and never had a problem with it until the end. And a couple weeks before we broke up, I lent him $250. Some of it was for daycare, and then others was to get him by until his checks came in from his clients. So I gave him the money, and then that following week we broke up, and he didn't pay me back on a couple of occasions. We met, we talked. He said that he would meet me to pay me back, and he never did. One time he told me he'd meet me at a restaurant. I waited for him for an hour. He never showed up. I called him the next day. He said he didn't feel he had to chase me around town to pay me back the money.
Does any of that sound familiar to you?
No. I mean, absolutely not.
Your Honor, I have...
Just up!
It just
No,
really...
don't look at your feet. Look at my eyes.
Okay.
Does any of what she said about making appointments to meet her, to pay her back...
Yes.
Shh. Let me finish. Meeting her to pay her back the money. None of that sounds familiar to you?
Meet her to talk about the issue that she thinks that I owe her the money when I paid her back. That's what we were supposed to meet for. I felt it was irrelevant to even meet with her, so I didn't. And she didn't have a pager or a phone, so I couldn't call her, so I didn't show up.
I had a cellular phone on me that day.
Just a second.
Okay.
Let me understand something. Are you telling me, sir, that you behaved in an unchivalrous manner by making an appointment to meet her to discuss something and then decided that you didn't feel as if you had anything to discuss, and then you didn't show up?
Said, yes.
And then you didn't show up? Is
I
that right?
get a
Is that
hold
what
of
you're
her.
telling me?
Yes, I did.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. $350. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. We'll see. Out the back door to your right.
I'm happy he got what he deserves. He gets away with everything, and I didn't want him to get away with it.
I don't get away with it. What are you talking about? Explain yourself.
Mommy bills you out of
Oh,
this. Grandma
give me a
bills you
break.
out of this.
Give me a
Okay.
break.
You know it's true. I know it's true.
And now the next case.
Parties on Ambrose versus Moronian. Step forward, please.
27-year-old actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moronian made her hair turn green. Anita says somebody else botched the job.
Ms. Ambrose, you are dissatisfied with the defendant's services that she performed for you as a hairdresser.
Yes.
And not only, according to your complaint, do you want to be compensated by having her return the money that was paid, but you also want her to pay for, let's see, $600 for what it cost you to repair your hair, another $1,000 or so for you to take new headshots because you're an actress.
Yes.
This better be good. Go.
Okay. I have a picture of what my hair... I've been growing out my hair for 2 years. I went to expensive salons to have them take care of my hair. Anita is a relatively expensive... She works at a relatively expensive salon. I had been seeing her for at least 7 months. I have a picture of what my hair looked like before she went and permed it. It's bleached hair. And I had put some temporary color in my hair.
Just a second. Let's stop. You sort of glossed over that. So you put some color in your hair.
Yes.
And then when did you call her after you had put the color in your hair?
The morning after, and I told them what... I told her boss, and then I told her exactly
spoke to her.
what I put in my hair.
Yes.
Yes.
And she said what?
That it was still safe to perm it and color correct it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair, after coming back from the salon, was very bad. It was very frizzy. It was very damaged. It was orange and green.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Joyce Ambrose says hairdresser Anita Moranyan cut her hair too short, permed it, and turned it green. Anita says she warned her not to color her hair.
Just a second. Color corrected, which means you put something in your hair.
That was too dark. It was darker than I liked it.
So then you made an appointment, and when did you go in?
It was that morning.
And what happened when you got there that morning?
I checked with her again and again and again, and I said, I used Clairol. It's a version number 1. This is in my hair now. She obviously saw the color difference because she had been my sole hairdresser for 7 months. I said, are you sure it's safe to perm on this hair?
Miss Ambrose, why did you take it upon yourself to do a home hair color on yourself if you had been going to very expensive salons for months and months?
My hair turned out darker than I wanted it to, and so I thought it wouldn't be a problem for her to put basic rinse through my hair
In a second. Okay.
A basic rinse through to soften the color and to perm it. It's a non-ammonia, non-peroxide solution, and I told her exactly what it was, and I asked if it could be done. I was very clear about that. I mean, I asked her over and over so much that I felt paranoid, and she assured me that it was fine. She assured me that it was fine to do a color and a perm that day.
Okay, so what did you do?
I went in, got the perm done. It turned out stringy and strawy and awful. Most of the color washed out. Some of it basically baked in would be the right words. It stuck and wouldn't come out, and that turned kind of orange. There were parts that turned green. After Anita saw that, Anita looked at my hair. She told me not to see anyone for 2 days because it was really damaged. She couldn't color my hair that day because it was too damaged, even though she had agreed to at the beginning of that service. And basically let me go. She said not to touch it for 2 days and then to use a semi-permanent color, which is exactly what I did.
Just a second. She told you to do another self-help?
No, she she wanted to put the semi-permanent color in.
Okay, so she told you to leave with the perm that you said was not good and not do anything for 2 days, and then you should come back to the salon for whatever corrective measures with regard to color she would do.
Yes.
And then what did you do?
And I left out a detail, is that she cut off most of the green and the orange, making my hair basically a couple inches shorter than it is right now.
Well, you wouldn't want green and orange in your hair. So then she told you to come back in 2 days. What did you do?
In 2 days, I went to someone else who was not her, because I would never go back to somebody who did that to my hair again.
Miss Ambrose, you're talking as if this lady did what she did to you on purpose. You don't believe that she did this to you on purpose.
She told me,
hey,
Your Honor.
You don't believe she did this to you on purpose.
Not on purpose, out of seeking money and out of negligence, yes.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
First of all, she's calling, I mean, I'm not a better actress than she is. She's acting, but I don't know how to act. So she called the salon around 2 o'clock in the morning, left a message. I mean, this is not a normal hours.
2 o'clock in the morning? This is before you worked on
brought
her?
me in my day
Listen
off
to me.
do
Listen
her
to me.
hair.
Stop talking. Listen to me.
Right.
Well, I want to know about when you started to do work on her.
Not
with this perm.
She called that morning. It's my day off. She begged them to call me and have me to go and do her hair. In my day off, I went to do her hair. Tried to do a favor to her, and she's telling me negligently.
Just a second. What happened when you got to the salon?
She came in the salon. I came in my day off. I did her hair, what I had to do.
What did you do?
I permed her hair.
What kind of a discussion did you have before you permed her hair?
I mentioned to her, I said, every time you have a chemical process, anything happens, your ends might little damage. And it's very possible with the perms. It's always possible.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
She just said ends might have a little damage. That's like not 3 inches.
Your Honor, can I continue?
Yes, continue.
So I did her perm, but when she came, she had already green hair on her hair. Every time you have a perm, your hair shrinks because it's curly.
Of course, that's, you don't have to be a physicist to figure that out.
I didn't chop her, I didn't shorten it 3 inches. It's already, when you perm the hair, it's by himself, it shrinks.
So when you cut off the ends?
I cut off the ends.
And you told her to come back?
And I told her, I said, I cannot color your hair because she wanted me to color it. I said, come back in 2 days because the perm needs to oxidize the neutralizer has to oxidize on the hair too, between
24 to 36 hours. So I told her when she come back, I can put semi-permanent color. Since that day, I never seen her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I knew from the first day I met you, you are a weirdo. There's something wrong about you.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Actress Melinda Joyce Ambrose says that she could not go on auditions after hairdresser Anita Moranyan ruined her hair. Anita says she's not the one who ruined it.
In order for me to say to you, I'm comfortable with any of your allegations, you had been using this lady for 7 months. You put your own process on your hair, which you know if you're a smart lady, and you rely on your looks to make a living that you shouldn't have done. Clearly, because you didn't like the result of what you did, you called her. She came into work on her day off to do your hair to perm it, right?
Apparently,
right?
yes.
Apparently, yes. So I assume that when you called, you were hysterical, that your hair was too dark, and that somebody could please come in and do your hair.
I doubt I was hysterical.
My problem is, you'd been using this lady for color.
Yes.
You started a process that you hadn't used before. You were going to get a perm. A perm was going to change your appearance because it was going to make your hair curly instead of glorious and straight.
Yes.
All right, so that you were going to do anyway, which would have required, if I read your complaint correctly, additional headshots, because then if you had curly hair, it's different from straight hair. It's also shorter hair.
That's why I only asked for 2, because in the year that it's going to take me to grow my hair out back to there, I'm assuming 1 headshot session would have had to have happened anyways. But I lost all the headshots that I had. I can't use them now. I can't ever use them again. And I'm going to have more than that done
So
in
then
this
you
next year.
You learn 2 things. A, you should let a professional colorist do your hair if you rely on something. B, if you decide to have 3 processes on your hair, you risk your hair turning orange and green.
Your Honor, can I ask you to please understand
Sure.
one thing?
Sure.
And also, I'd like you to hear from my husband, if that would be possible.
What does he want to tell me?
How horrible it looked right after she did it, because he saw it.
Oh, sure, I'll hear you. I'll hear you. Step up, sir. Your name?
Nick Ambrose.
You want to tell me how horrible your wife looked?
Her hair, after coming back from the salon, was very bad. It was very frizzy. It was very damaged. It was orange and green. And I know how careful she is about her hair, and how she was very, very, very insistent that she told what was on the box of the actual label of the box of the dye she put on the day before, so that the person who was doing it would know exactly what was there and would be able to judge whether they could do a safe process or not.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a software engineer.
Let me ask you this question, sir. If somebody has a computer and they take their computer and they try, and doesn't seem to be working right, and they have a guarantee that goes with the computer, and they decide, well, they think that they could fix this computer, so they take a toothbrush and a toilet plunger. Say, I could fix this computer. I'm going to stick in the toilet plunger. I'm going to roto-root this computer, right? And then the computer doesn't work, and they bring it to you, and they say, hey, I got a guarantee here. The computer doesn't work. And you say, listen, there's an intervening thing here. There's an intervening thing here. You took this toothbrush, you took this toilet plunger, you try to fix the computer yourself. I don't understand why a woman who has been going to what she says to me is an expensive salon for 7 months, one night gets a bee in her bonnet that she wants to change her hair color, goes down to a drugstore and buys a box of something for $2.98 and puts it in her hair, or for $4.95 and puts it in her hair. And then she's so hysterical because of the way she looks that she can't even wait for this lady to come in on her regular day. She's got to come in the very next day and not say to her, listen, could you just fix the color for me, throw a rinse in, I just want to get it back, but comes in and says, I want my hair permed.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had here a dissatisfied customer.
Right.
Your dissatisfied customer paid you $125 for a process that she was dissatisfied with. Let me tell you what good business is. Good business is saying to a dissatisfied customer, listen, I'm sorry that you were dissatisfied. You've been my customer for 7 months. You've paid me for 7 months. You're dissatisfied. I don't think I did anything wrong, but you're dissatisfied with the service. I don't want you to be dissatisfied. I'm going to give you back your $125. That's what she originally called for, correct? You said you called because you wanted your money back.
Yeah.
And
she wanted more.
Hey! Some people are so stupid, they just don't understand.
Just
You said you wanted your money back.
Yes.
And if they had given you your money back, this matter would have been closed.
If it had happened right away, yes.
Good. Now it's right away.
It's not right away.
It's right away to me, madam. I'm giving you your money back, $125. It's more than I think that you deserve. I think that you contributed in part to having your hair damaged. You can't do one process, another process, a perm, and then a color to your hair and expect your hair to be as pristine as it is in this picture.
Your Honor, didn't she have a responsibility to tell me that before she did the process?
I believe that she told you that you were going to have damage to your hair. The fact that you didn't want to hear it is your problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $125, period. End of case.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy
versus Davis. Step forward, please.
23-year-old printer Rolanda Davis says she loaned her car to neighbor Rhonda Davis, and it came back damaged. Rhonda claims in her countersuit she owes her money for a missing gold ring.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I'm going to try to make this rather complicated case as simple as I can. You are not related to each other, even though you have the same last name.
No.
You are neighbors.
Yes.
She borrowed your car.
Yes, she did.
And it was involved in some sort of a traffic accident, and it was damaged.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes, I do.
She says that while you were babysitting for her, jewelry was stolen from her house. So she's countersuing you for the jewelry. She said, therefore, she doesn't have to pay for the car. Is that this case?
Yes, it is.
So at least we have one thing that's a given. You damaged her car.
Yes.
Now, in what month, date and month, did you damage her car? And you don't know this right off the top?
July 12th, Your Honor. No, I don't.
July 12th is when you borrowed the car.
Yes.
How was it damaged? Tell me.
I was damaged on the on the driver's door.
And how did you do that?
I didn't do it. A car hit her car while I was parked.
So she says, Your Honor.
Whatever. You weren't there.
Right.
But it was damaged while it was in your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not covered by insurance.
No, it's not.
Why did you let her borrow your car?
Because she asked me if she can borrow my car to go to the grocery store.
That's not true.
And I said, do you have a driver's license? And she said yes. And I let her drive my car. When she left, my car was a brand new car.
No, I understand that. She's acknowledging that the car was damaged while it was under her control. Did you have a driver's license?
No, I did not.
Why? Why did you use her car without having a driver's license?
She sent her daughter to come get me, to go to Lucky's, to go get some milk and cereal for her daughter because she was sick.
Your Honor.
I did her a favor.
Your Honor. She asked me to use my car. The first question I asked her, before I even answered her, was, do you have a driver's license?
That's not true.
She said yes.
Shh. Just a second. Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I had got the car in May, and I moved in June. I guess my insurance papers, from what the car dealership told me, went to my old address. Being that I didn't get them in time, they pinned it because I only had it a month after I got my car.
Well, so far you both sound very responsible. No insurance, no driver's license. It's a perfect match.
Okay.
All right. Now, when allegedly was this jewelry stolen and how? What month?
It was stolen August 23rd.
All right. 8/23. Now, between July 12th, when the car was damaged, and August 23rd, why didn't you pay her for the damage?
Because, for one thing, when after the accident had happened, okay, I came straight to Rolanda, and I said, Rolanda, someone had hit your car. We came out, we looked at the car. She said, Rhonda, don't worry about it. It's not that much damage. It could have happened to me if I'd have had your car. She said, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on now.
Shh.
All right.
And so?
And so that was it, okay? August 23rd was my birthday. We needed a babysitter.
Just a minute. So are you telling me that between July 12th, when our car was damaged. And August 23rd, there was no other discussion about paying for the car.
None. None.
Okay. You say there was?
Yes, there was.
When was there?
When she came back, when she pulled back into the parking lot, and I came outside and seen my car, and I'm just shaking my head, and she was like, Rolanda, I'm going to help you fix your car. She said she's been knowing people who can fix my car, Your Honor. She said she's been knowing people, and I'll come to her door, I'll ask for some time. I'll be like, have you talked to someone?
No,
and she'll be like, yeah, I know somebody who will fix the car.
Okay.
You know, and then she got mad one night and was like, I'm not going to fix your car.
Who are you?
I'm her witness and roommate. We live together. When she was at the store, I was at Rolanda's house sitting, waiting for her because the store is not very far from where we stay at. Okay, when she came back, all three of us walked out where the car is parked at in front of our apartment building, and we looked at the car. You know, I was looking like, where's the dent, you know? And it was very small, like maybe if someone opened their door and maybe hit the car or something like that, that's what it looked like. To me, it wasn't major
I'm going to
all.
See pictures of it. I assume the pictures are
It
here.
wasn't
Yes,
major
I do
at all.
have my pictures to prove that they're not little itty bitty dents.
I have pictures
I have
too.
some. I have some damages that.
Just a shut.
Okay.
That's certainly not an itty bitty dent.
No, and that wasn't the dent that was in that car. Neither. Her car had been hit 3 times since that accident.
Well, when did you take pictures of it?
Maybe about 2 weeks ago when I knew that she was following this.
Just a second. 2 weeks ago this happened? 3
July
months
the
ago?
12th, Your Honor.
Yes, but I didn't know she was going to file no suit against me or anything like this.
When were these pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Not interested in these pictures?
Well,
I
have
want to
an
see the
estimate.
estimate.
Okay. I have
right
an estimate,
after
Your
July
Honor.
12th.
I have an estimate, Your Honor, proving how much my driver's door does not open. My window is broken.
That window was in that car.
It has been rain, and my car, the door, it's rain, it's mildew stains inside of my car.
Your husband
Just a
broke
minute.
the window.
Hey! This damage report is 2.5 months after this incident.
Yes. Okay. Your Honor, I'm telling the guys all the truth. She damaged my car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that.
And later today,
Whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rolanda Davis says after she loaned her car to her neighbor, 36-year-old Rhonda Davis, she returned it with extensive damage. Rhonda admits the car was wrecked, but says Rolanda stole a gold ring from her home, making them even.
She acknowledges she damaged your car. You do not have an estimate within a day, a two, a week after the accident.
Right.
$1,500 is practically what they charge just to look at a car. One of these car doctors, they come out in a white coat and they look at it. You know, the looking costs $1,500. So we're not talking about a lot of money. The damage that you caused to the car was at least probably $1,500.
Yes.
If they have to pull it out, they have to repaint it, they have to buff it out. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $1,500 she's entitled to for the car. Now, you have to prove to me that she took your jewelry. Prove it.
Only way that I can prove it is that when we got ready to leave, okay, when I got to the club, okay, Jocelyn noticed that my jewelry was gone. What I did, I immediately got on the phone. I called Rolanda. I dialed my number. Rolanda answered my phone. She said, hello. I said, Rolanda, this is Rhonda. First thing I said, how's the kids? She said, everything okay. I said, Rolanda, I left my rings on top of the TV. Can you please go get them for the kids won't mess with them? She said, okay. I said, I'm going to hold on until you do this, okay? I was holding on the phone. Whether Rolanda went in my room to check to see was the rings there or not, I was holding on. She came back to the phone. She said, okay, I got them. I said, okay, everything's okay? She said, yes. I hung up the phone. When I returned home, I say approximately maybe about 2:30, close to 2:45. Immediately as I walked in my door, I seen my table, the glass was broke, okay? Then Rolanda said, the window in the room is broke. I said, the room window. So I goes in the room and I pulls the curtain back. The whole window is busted out, okay? A family heirloom that I had from my grandmother that's passed, that was broke, okay? My rings was missing. all in one night.
Okay. What happened?
She called, and she did tell me that her ring was somewhere in her room. She did say that she would hold while I go in the room. I did not go in that room because I didn't want to be responsible for nothing coming up
Just
missing.
a second.
Okay.
Stop you right there.
All right.
She called. She said, I'll hold on.
Mm-hmm. I sat the phone down.
Just a second.
Okay.
She said, I'll hold on while you go inside and get my rings, because I don't want the kids. That's what she said to you.
Right.
And you did what?
And I sat the phone down and sat there. I did not come back and reply to her, I got them.
Yes, you did.
Oh, sure you did.
Yes, you did. That's what the reason
sure you
was
did.
holding on.
Oh,
No,
hey.
That's why I was, oh, excuse me.
No.
Excuse
Hey.
me.
Oh, sure you did.
She is lying. No, I did not. My mother is right here.
Let me tell you why you did. Let me tell you why you did. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for you to have then walked back and said, I don't have the rings. I'm sorry. You put the phone down. You said, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. You picked the phone up. You said, got him.
I didn't say got him.
What did you say?
I told her I was not going in her room because I wasn't going to be responsible.
No, you didn't.
That's what I said.
Oh, no, you didn't. Please,
I didn't
give me a
leave
break.
out that living room.
Give.
Your Honor,
You got
that
my
is
rings.
the truth. I didn't leave out the living room.
Oh, I believe it.
I stayed
How you
right
know the
next door
bedroom
to
window
her.
was
Listen to
broke?
me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Either way,
okay.
You're responsible. She's absolutely right. Either way, you're responsible. She called you.
That's what
You
I
were
did.
babysitting for her children. She said, I left my rings. Please go inside and secure them. Instead of doing that, you copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that. You took the phone, put it down, waited a minute, picked it up and said, I got him.
That's what she did.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did. Tell me what rings were missing.
This is the rings right here. I have the things from the rings and everything. They're not even finished paying for. Here's everything for the rings. It's the ones that's
a room at all.
That's your problem.
Circled.
Then you lied.
Here's
No,
my
I didn't.
stuff.
Oh,
for
sure
my-
you did.
For my table.
Oh, sure
I
you
didn't-
did.
I got
How?
the window fixed, but not the table.
How,
but
Your
this
Honor?
is
How did you lie?
Yeah.
You lied because you told her I got the rings.
No,
Here
I
we go,
didn't.
right
I
here.
Oh, I
never
believe you
told her
did.
that.
Listen, I may be wrong. I was wrong once in 1950. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure I was wrong
And
once
this
in
day,
1950.
too, Your Honor, because I didn't say that to her.
Be quiet.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
This case is going to turn out to be a wash, you know. Because I believe that you should have paid for the car, for the damage to the car. I believe that's true. And I believe Miss Attitude over here decided that she was tired of asking you to pay for the car and made things sort of even. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Your countersuit is dismissed because they're just for about the same amount of money. The loss of the rings, the damage to her car, it's a wash.
with me.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Penda versus Crane. Step forward, please.
55-year-old engineering assistant Dee Pender says she bought a computer for 43-year-old Robert Crane while the two were dating. Robert claims he knows nothing about it.
While you and the defendant were dating, you claimed that you bought a computer for him. He agreed to pay you for the computer. Stop dating. And he hasn't paid you for the computer.
Right.
That's simple?
Right.
He says he doesn't know what you're talking about. You never bought him a computer. He doesn't know about a computer. Is that right?
Correct.
Interesting. So, how long were you dating before you bought him this computer, and tell me why you did in the first place?
Probably about 4 months I was dating him, and he was over that night, and we had talked about that I might get a computer. And I was on the phone, and he came in, and he says, "Oh, you're ordering a computer?" And I said, "Yeah." He says,
that's not right.
"Could, do you think I could get one too?" And I said, "Well, I'll ask." So I asked, and she said, "You can buy as many as you want."
Where were you ordering these from?
Through my company, that I work for.
Were you getting a good deal on them?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yes, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
They offered them to the employees only. And she said, yes, I could get as many as I wanted. I said, okay. He says, well, put it on your charge for me, and I'll pay you back next month. Fact is, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. And I went, shh, wait till I'm done. So I finished ordering 2 computers and got off the phone. He says, yeah, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. Everything on your bill I'll pay off. Yours and mine and anything else that's on there. He said, I make plenty of money. He said, no problem. And I said, no, you pay what you owe me. I pay my own bills.
How much was the computer that you bought for him?
In the end, by the time we got the everything on there was $1,943.55. That's what it finally came to.
Okay.
So he comes over and he says, I make $15,000 a month. Here's my check stub. I'll show you. And I looked and I went, whoa. And he says, yeah, I make plenty of money. Don't worry, I'll pay the whole thing. I said, no, just pay your bill. That's all I want. And so the bill came in, and he says, well, the next month, he says, I'm a little short of cash. Can I just make the payment this time? He said, actually, I'll pay it when my tax check comes in. He said, that'll be in the next week. And I said, okay. I said, you know, pay $100 on this. Okay. So
did he give you $100?
Yes. Yes, he paid me $100.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have the computers been delivered?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They were delivered the next month.
Did you talk to him about his computer?
Oh, yeah. He said, yeah, he liked it. He thought it was great.
What kind was it?
A Micron? Micron, I believe. Here it is, right here.
Okay. And which credit card did you put it on?
My Citibank Visa.
Okay.
There's a little note here that he left tagged on my car after he moved out in the middle of the night in his handwriting saying, I will pay you. He put this on my car. I put the date up there of the day he left it on my car.
Let me have it, please. Yes. I'm listening.
Yes, ma'am. As far as this computer, she'd called me and said she purchased a computer. And as far as another computer, I know nothing about it. I was very shocked on this lawsuit that she served me. I was very shocked. I was very shocked. And the thing I did, I finally had to move because all she did was call me every night. She wanted to pursue this relationship. Hey, I didn't want to hear anything else about it. So I finally had to move because we lived in the same complex. I did not need to hear any more of this from her.
If you can't be quiet, you have to leave. Do you understand?
So the only thing I can see is she's very distressed that she couldn't pursue this relationship.
So you think she bought these 2 computers that are clearly on her bill for somebody else, or maybe she just wanted 2 computers for herself?
Possibly. As far as that, the only thing I knew, she called me up, she said, oh, I bought a computer. Oh, you did? Okay, fine.
If there would be a copy of a check that you gave her for $100, what would that be for?
It would be for some stamps that I purchased from her for a mail order business that she was going into, that I paid her for.
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
I'm not full of
You're a very quick thinker. I don't have a check for $100, a copy of a check.
But still,
I just wanted to figure out, to see what your answer would be if you thought I had a copy of a check.
That's what it would have been for.
Oh, God. Must be smoking something real good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$1,943.55 is what your Visa bill shows. Does very fancy footwork, Ms. Pender. You're very lucky that whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Earth to Mr. Crane. You can't pull the wool over everybody's eyes all the time, sir.
I'm sorry.
What were the interest charges since this purchase was made? His interest charges, we're going to give him credit for the $100, even though he now says it's for stamps.
And also lost wages because same time he moved, his company moved. And it took me 2 days to find out where they were.
You're going to, listen, you're going to chalk that up to experience.
Okay.
All I want to know is the interest. It's $320.
She had a business card all along.
2163, right?
That's what you got there.
That's what I got there. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,163.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And
step forward, please.
17-year-old Kelly Atkinson says she started dating Daniel Cope when she was only 15. Now broken up, she's suing him for money he took when they were lovers.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please.
Judges number 278 on the calendar in the matter of Atkinson versus Cope. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
How old are you?
25.
Did you know how old she was when you started to date her?
Yes.
How old was she?
15.
And you were 23?
Yes, ma'am.
That's very dumb.
It's a lesson well learned.
Because in addition to everything else, it's a felony. Right?
Yes.
Now, Miss Atkinson, this is your mother?
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 now.
Yes, I am.
So this suit was really filed by you on behalf of your daughter. You say that you loaned him money.
Loaned him $2,000.
For what?
Repairs on his pickup truck. Bills that I paid for him.
Like what?
Gas and power. Very, very, very often, he would take me to the bank to get $20 out so he could get back and forth to work for a night. I have a copy of all my bank receipts for the time that we were dating.
Where did you meet him?
He is an old friend of mine's boyfriend's brother.
Yeah.
And we were just introduced one day, and we were friends for about 5 months, and then it went from there.
Did your mother know that you were dating him?
Yes, she did.
Did you think it was a good idea?
He wasn't like a normal 23-year-old. He was more like a 19-year-old. Seemed, and they were friends first.
That's not unusual. So he's 23 going on 19. And your daughter was 15 going on 16.
Yeah.
So you didn't think it was so terrible. Did you know that they were intimate?
Not for a long time, no.
So you took some money from her?
The loan was offered to me. What I did borrow from her, yes. Didn't take.
Well, tell me.
It was offered.
Right. And you took it?
It was offered
It was
as a loan.
offered several times, and I did take it. Yes, I borrowed, yes.
Why?
Not $2,000.
How much?
$800.
Well, $800 in one lump sum.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking about little bits at a time.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All the withdrawals listed on there, there's only, I think, one deposit that I made for my birthday on April 8th. All the rest of the withdrawals were not from me personally using the money, but from him using the money.
You mean using it to go out on a date, maybe?
No, to take it and pay his bills, or to, for instance, I bought him a differential. He needed a differential. I loaned him the $150 as a deposit down on the differential for his...
Does that sound familiar?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I've been self-sufficient since I was 18 years old. I paid all my bills. No. And no, she did not pay no gas, power, or electric bill. She loaned me, which was offered, $800, which I paid back. Now, I don't know where she comes up with this, no.
How much did you have in this account when you started dating him?
To start out with, $2,200.
And prior to dating him, had you taken any money out of that account?
No, that account was saved up. I've been saving that money since I was 6 years old to go and buy a car when I was 16 or to go to college.
So what you're telling me is there were no withdrawals made from that account?
None. Zero.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Step up here, please, with your daughter. When did you find out that she was helping him out with money?
The first time I found out about it was his ex-girlfriend left a message on our answering machine telling Kelly that she would never get her $2,000 back, and a few other things she left on. And that was the first time I realized, uh-oh, she's really done it. She's given him some money. And I was afraid she wasn't going to get it back.
And when Mom confronted me, I did lie to her because I was trying to protect him.
When did you break up with him?
When? At the end of August.
Why?
He put his boot through the window of my parents' truck, kicked me in the face with it.
Why?
Lots of fights. We were in the middle of another fight, and it ended up in a domestic dispute.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
In addition to the $2,000 that you say you took out of your account and gave to him, you're suing for $5,000 and the other for medical bills. For what?
During the time that we were together, I contracted a venereal disease, a virus called HPV. There's a letter from my doctor and bills, my medical bills for the last year.
Did you have sexual relations with anyone other than him during this period of time?
No.
What are you laughing about? Why is that a funny question?
No, just like that, no, no.
Well, if you have some information that she had sexual relations with somebody else, I'll hear you, sir.
She had a sexual relationship with a very close friend of mine.
When?
When? During the time that we were dating. Okay? The money that she loaned me, the $800, okay, yes, I did pay back. This was a doorway to open the account, and once the money had started being removed, the $800 that was loaned to me, then she went ahead and removed more money. Okay, whenever I caught up to this, and I confronted her about this, you know, spending money to go here, go there, I said, Kelly, you can't do that. That's not right.
Show me proof that you paid back the $800.
Show me proof that I borrowed $2,000.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you fool around with jail bait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir.
And later today...
You're not a man. You're a little weasel.
Because
your whole family.
Just put him away for 20 years. So.
You know what? You're all going to jail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, for money he took when they were dating. She also claims Daniel gave her a sexually transmitted disease and wants him to pay for her medical bills.
Now, you answered one question that I posed to you, sir, with a different answer. I asked you how you knew that she was having sexual relations with somebody else at the same time she was having sexual relations with you. And you are telling me about $800.
How do I know?
Yes.
Because I drove over to my buddy's house. That's where she'd spent the night instead of over at my house like she told her mother.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I caught them.
You caught them what?
I caught them in the house. Half dressed.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, it does not.
Well, would you tell me what he's talking about if you know?
I have no idea.
Well, tell me about it, sir.
What do you want to know about it?
She was supposed to be spending the night with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And?
She wasn't there?
She was not there.
So you went looking for her?
I went looking for her, yes.
Well, I'm making this very easy for you.
Well, thank you.
Good. How much are your medical bills?
So far, out of pocket is $895. And I'm going to need many more.
Well, you know, you're partially responsible, madam. So's your mother. Mm-hmm. In my judgment. You said it. He was 23, going on 19. Probably more like 15. So, he's no genius. Your daughter is 15, going on 16, and clearly she's no genius. You're supposed to be smart enough to put your foot down and say, I don't want you to see this guy because he's too old for you, and I don't think it's appropriate at your age. At age 15, to be dating somebody who's 23 is not appropriate. Maybe when you're 30 and he's 38, it's a different story. But right now, it's not appropriate. That's your job as a mother.
Okay, now whenever Mom did find out about his age and how much we were hanging out together, I was lying to her, again, to try to protect him.
Your mother still says she knew very well that you were dating him and that she gave her tacit approval because she felt that he was immature enough to be almost a contemporary of yours.
And I trusted
Which is
them.
a kind way of saying it.
Very kind.
Very kind. So you bear part of this responsibility. You know. Have you had yourself tested, sir?
I had myself tested, yes.
Good. Do you have the results of the test?
I have what they mail me is a card that says you're okay, fine, that you don't need to call us, you don't need to contact us, that you don't need to come in.
Let me see.
Okay, this does not say nothing, but it's a mailer, all right?
Well, it doesn't say anything. What are you giving it to me for?
That's the only thing that I do have. Okay, if otherwise I'd have been notified, say, you know, I'd have gotten a phone call saying, come in, we need to discuss this.
What made you go here for blood tests, sir?
Because I started a new relationship, and I wanted to get tested. I wanted to make sure that, you know, before I have an intimate relationship with anybody, that I do not have a problem.
Well, this is interesting because this was just done in October.
Yes, ma'am. I have a new relationship.
I heard that already. You sound like a broken record. But you stopped seeing her in August, right?
A year ago.
A year
ago.
Right.
Right. So this doesn't tell me anything because I don't know whether you were tested a year ago and were treated during the course of that year for anything. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She'd been having sex for long before I come around.
And later today,
You're a lying scumbag. Your whole family is that way. Your dad constantly bails you out. Your whole family is that way.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Atkinson is suing her former boyfriend, Daniel Cope, claiming he gave her a sexually transmitted disease. Daniel says he knows nothing about it.
Mr. Cope, nobody is blameless in this situation. Unfortunately, you are the legal adult and she is the legal minor. And when you fool around with what we used to call, when I was a child, jailbait, you sort of accept the consequences of that, sir. You took out this money. This was your money supposedly for a car,
For
correct?
a car or college, whichever I decided that was more important at the time.
And so far you have medical bills in the amount of $895. I'm giving you a judgment in the amount of $2,895. I'm saying the following to you. You started off your life wrong. You're supposed to be smarter.
Mm-hmm.
You're 17 years old. Your mother is supposed to be smarter. Your mother is supposed to be protective. And as far as I'm concerned, this 15-year-old shouldn't have unfettered control over a substantial bank account. It's her money, but she's still a kid.
Right.
Fortunately, what was coming out wasn't money to buy drugs or other things, but it could have been. Mm-hmm. So you got to be very, very careful and very vigilant as a parent these days. I assume your new girlfriend is over the age of 18.
Yes.
Great. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back there to your right, please.
And I thought maybe they'd be good for each other. Maybe she'd help him grow up a little bit, and he'd help her grow up a little bit.
And now the next case.
Party's on Lewis versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
Secretary Royce Lewis is suing her 19-year-old stepson, Daniel Lewis, for money she loaned him to buy a stereo when he was 16.
Okay, so that we understand who the cast of characters are in this case, this is your stepson.
Yes.
This is your biological son.
Yes.
Are you still married to his father?
Separated.
Married but separated.
Right.
Well, a couple of years ago, while you were probably all living together, correct?
Yes.
According to this, you made a loan to these two boys.
Yes.
To go out and buy some stereo equipment. At that time, he was 16.
Yes.
And it was your agreement that when he turned 18, he would pay you back.
Yes.
Turned 18?
Yeah.
What happened?
He never paid me back. The agreement was that when he turned 18, and I didn't ask for interest or anything, and before I gave them both the money, which was cash, I said, this is with the understanding that when you each turn 18 and get your money from your trust account, that you will pay me back the money that I've loaned you. And they both said yes. I said, then go get stereos for your car.
So you got a stereo for your car.
Yes, I did.
And you got one for your car.
Correct.
When did you separate from his father?
About 2.5, maybe 3 months ago.
And it was after that that you filed this lawsuit?
Right. I told him I was going to the time we were together, and he said I couldn't because he's a pastor of a church and it's his son, and I wasn't allowed to. I said he owes me the money and he's not paying it, and you're not doing anything to get it.
Well, but the marriage was already on.
Right.
Going.
No, actually, no, it wasn't.
Well,
but
then I'm going to tell you something. If you threaten to sue your husband's son, that's a good time for marriage to start to go south.
Well, I didn't threaten immediately. I said, somehow something has to happen here. It's not right that he's getting away with all this.
Okay.
Okay. Our agreement, basically there was no agreement. She came up to, I did not ask for the money. I did not ask for anything from her. Me and James were both outside one day. She came right in front of our door. She walked down the stairs and was asking us if we had car stereos and how they worked and all this stuff. And she says, well, do you guys want to go down and get new CD players? And of course, I'm 16 years old. You know, I would love to have a new CD player for my car. So she gave us a blank check, said she told us how much we could spend. Me and James went down, got the same exact CD player. I came home, installed it in my car. Later that night, sitting in my room, she walked through the door and then told me that when I was 18, I could pay her back because I was getting my settlement. Okay?
So what did you say to her at that point?
Actually, I never said anything. I never actually said, okay, yes, I will do this, yes, I won't. But the thing is also, even if I had agreed to that, I moved up to Sacramento shortly before I turned 18. When I turned 18, I never heard nothing. To this very day, she has never verbally asked me for that money.
That is a total lie. His dad has talked to him.
Not since.
Not talking about his dad. You said it's you.
My dad left her 2 months ago, and that is when this is happening. And she's suing 4 of my dad's friends.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have fun in jail because that's where you're going.
Miss Lewis, a minor cannot make a contract. When he was 16 years old, he could not have entered into a contract, either oral or written, with you for anything. And there are times when, if you enter into an agreement when you're a minor, and if you ratify it later when you turn 18 or 21, depending upon the jurisdiction, then it can become enforceable. But he did not do that. He did not ratify it when he became 18. You cannot make a contract with a minor who is 16 and expect it to be enforced in a court. This lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's back.
You got my case next, buddy.
Yeah, I've already reported you to Wells Fargo.
I really don't care.
Right.
I really don't care.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
And parties on Gigliotti versus Kemp. Step forward, please.
50-year-old attorney Jerome Gigliotti says Monica Kemp slashed his tires and keyed his car in the post office parking lot.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Quiet in the courtroom, ma'am. Judge, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Gigliotti versus Kemp. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Gigliotti, you were going to the post office.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were driving.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, you got to the post office and looking for a place to park, and all the parking spots were taken.
It was about 10:40 in the morning. I drove into the parking lot. I noticed there was no spaces available. I looked over the parking space for the handicapped, and there was a car there, and I noticed that it had Louisiana license plates that were not handicap provided. I also looked at the front mirror to see if there was a placard there.
So you got out of your car?
Yes, I did. And then I went back to my car, and I took out a Polaroid camera, and I took a picture of the car and my car as it was seated in the parking space for the handicapped, and then I wrote down the license plate number. And I also noticed when I was around front that it had a Navy parking sticker on it. So I copied down the number of that also.
Okay. So far, what you were doing is you were outraged that somebody parked in the handicapped parking spot.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Okay, so then what did you do?
Well, as I was writing down the license plate number from the car that was parked there, it was a black Plymouth, a woman came out of the post office, and she started yelling and screaming and waving her arms. She was waving her arms like this. And she said, you move that car, I'll move you.
What do you mean? I don't understand. Why did you have to move your car?
I had pulled in behind the car that was in the parking space in order to get out of the driveway, because the driveway was right next to that parking space. I pulled in behind it.
So you blocked the car?
Yes.
Now, when you looked inside the car, did you see anybody in the car?
I didn't notice anybody at that time, Your Honor.
Okay, so you had now blocked the car, and the woman came out and said, you better move the car.
Yes.
What did you do?
She was yelling and screaming, and I was absolutely certain that she was going to cause some violence. So I walked away from her and walked into the post office and called the police.
Why didn't you just get into your car and move your car?
I didn't think I had that much time. She was coming at me rather fast, rather loud.
Order.
Yeah, go ahead.
And while I was waiting in the post office, Miss Corbett, who was going to be the witness, came in and said, is that your car with the handicap placard in the parking lot? And I said, yes, it was. And she said, that woman just keyed your car. And I went out to the parking lot to see if I could see where she had keyed the car, but she was still walking up and down between the two cars, yelling and screaming and throwing her arms around. So I didn't go out there. I just waited until the police came. And when the police came, I did go out and I inspected the car, and it had been keyed, the entire driver's side.
Okay. You do have handicap plates on your car?
I do.
Why is that, sir?
Because I have a back injury that limits my ability to walk.
How long have you had that back injury?
2.5 years.
And how long have you had the handicap plates?
About 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Step up, please.
Yes.
Can you tell me your name?
Yes, I'm Janice Corbett.
Miss Corbett, I assume you work in the post office. You're the postal worker.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see this lady key his car?
I saw this lady do a keying motion to his car.
Describe what you saw.
I saw her talking with another woman and some children, and she had her keys in her hand. She was frustrated. Then she went to the side of his car, and her arm turned. I could not actually see the key in her hand at this moment, but her arm was turned, so I could see this part, and she walked stiff-armed alongside the car.
Okay. Ms. Kemp?
Yes.
According to your complaint, and you have a countersuit against the plaintiff for unlawful imprisonment of both you and your children, who you say were in the car.
Yes.
How many children did you have in the car?
3.
How old are they?
At the time, the twins were 4 months old, and Nicholas was 5 years old.
Okay. What were you doing at the post office?
I went to the post office that morning to mail a few letters and to purchase stamps. I did pull in to a handicapped spot. Yes, I know that was wrong, but thinking that I would be in there 2 to 3 minutes, I knew I would be right back out. I just didn't think there would be a problem. So, and I was in a hurry because I went there before I brought Nicholas to school. So we went into the post office, my kids and I did what I had to do. I stopped at the front counter to make out some things on the...
How are you holding the twins?
They were in a stroller.
So you actually took them out of the car and put the twins in the stroller?
Yes.
And Nicholas was with you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay. And we went into the post office. Like I said, on the way out, I stopped at the desk to put the stamps on, and also I did that. We went back to the car. He said I was waving my arms. I didn't even recognize him because I was in such a hurry to get Nicholas to school. But I got in the car. As I looked back to see if my pathway was clear, then I realized he was parked behind me. So that parking lot is really small. So I thought maybe he was just trying to maneuver his way out of it. He didn't move. So I just sat there and waited a second because I didn't really know what he was doing. So he
didn't move. I saw him come out of his trunk with a camera. So he started to take pictures, and so I didn't think anything. And then I looked up, and there was his handicap. I said, okay, I know what he's doing, and I know what I did. So I got out, and I was not enraged because I knew I was wrong. I became upset when he said he was not going to move. So I waited until he was done with it because I thought that would be the end of it. He's taking pictures. This is his evidence. They'll give me a ticket. That was not the end of it. So he went into the front part of his car to do what I don't know. So that's when I took a step to the back of my car, and I asked him, would he then move? He said there was no way in hell he was going to move, and he was the person that was yelling. I was not yet upset because I wasn't quite sure what his intentions were yet.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
When she came out, she was so violent that I was absolutely certain it was going to get into fisticuffs.
I don't believe you, sir. I don't believe you.
She's got 30 years and 30 pounds on me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jerome Gigliotti says Monica Kemp slashed his tires and keyed his car in the post office parking lot. Monica says Jerome blocked her car so she couldn't pull out, leaving her and her children trapped.
You knew you had done something wrong.
Right.
But you knew that what he was doing, that he was gathering evidence so that he could present it to give you a ticket.
After what,
Okay.
And he told me there was no way in hell he was going to move. I then started to tell him that, you know, I had to get Nicholas to school. I informed him that I did not have any more formula for my kids because I didn't bring any because I was intending a quick trip to the post office and to school.
I assume you were pretty hot at this point, Ms. Kemp. I assume you were.
I was not angry yet because I thought once I told him that, he would move. And I offered him other information of mine. I told him he could have my driver's license number. I did notice when he came to the front of the car, he was copying down my military information. I asked him, didn't he have enough information? He was ignoring me. When I offered more information, he ignored me. And at this point, when he started to walk off, I was like, I don't believe this. You are going to let us out, aren't you? And he just walked off. And so there was another woman who came up, and she just started to ask me what was the problem and are you okay, because by this point I had become extremely emotional because it's like, okay, this man is not going to move and my kids are in the car and it's hot and they were starting to cry and I was just really upset. I was scared. So she tried to calm me down. She went in the post office and she asked him to move. And
did somebody else come into the post office and ask you to move, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you?
I told her I wasn't going to go out there so long as that other woman, Miss Kemp, was out there.
All they wanted you to do was move the car.
You did not see the condition that she was. She was yelling and screaming, waving her arms, and there was no way I was going to get into a fight with her.
What was I going to do, throw a baby at you?
Just a second.
I had a baby in my arm.
You know that all she wanted you to do was to move your car. She wasn't going to get into a fight with you because if she got into a fight with you, she couldn't get her kids in her car out. Come on, sir. Let's be honest with each other. You were very angry that someone had parked in the handicapped spot that was really reserved for you. Now, I can understand that. I can really understand that. There's nothing to suggest that you did anything wrong in taking down the license plate number, copying down the Navy information, taking a photograph of her parking in that spot. I'm telling you now, I do have a problem with you blocking her car, especially when you knew that there were children with her, twins, under 6 months old, and her son. I do. I mean, you came into court today, not in a wheelchair, sir. You didn't come in a wheelchair and you didn't come in a stretcher. So I don't know how come it is that you got a handicapped parking placard. I have difficulty walking too sometimes. Nobody's going to give me a handicapped parking placard. Right? Even Byrd here sometimes gets tired, right, Byrd? So, can't get a holier-than-thou approach to life, sir, and look at everything reasonably. I mean, this is a situation that was a fast-paced situation, but try to have a little understanding. She was prepared to get a ticket. You could have seen to it that she got a ticket. But you went a little overboard. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that you keyed his car.
I did not key his car.
Somebody keyed his car. Let me see the pictures of your car. Come on, Miss Kemp. So far, you've been very honest with me. So far, I believe you've been very honest with me.
I have been.
That's right. And aside from the scratch marks on your car, you also had a blown tire, is that right?
No, Your Honor, it wasn't blown, it was
What was it?
slashed. I have a cast of the tire here that shows it's a very neat cut. And when I took it into the tire repair place, they said they couldn't patch it and that it had gone about a ½ inch into the tire. And it's a very narrow cut, so you can see there was a cut and there wasn't road damage.
If it was cut, you must have cut it, because I didn't.
Let me take a look at that, please. Well, it's kind of hard to slash a tire with a key.
May I say something?
Sure.
I would like to know if his tire was slashed, how did he back out to let me out? How did he get out?
I just said to you, I don't think he can establish through any witness that he has today that you did anything to the tire of his car. That's not what this witness said. Miss Kemp, look at me, dear.
I'm looking.
Keying his car. Say, Miss Kemp, I'm not suggesting to you that the situation didn't enrage you. You had a right to be enraged.
I know.
I believe you had a right to be enraged. What you did was a violation. Sir, what she was engaged in was a violation. I find it disingenuous on your part to suggest that you feared for your life, and when you called the police, you said that a woman had just assaulted you, because that's what you wrote in your complaint. This woman never assaulted you. If she came out swinging her arms and being very agitated because her car was blocked, that is not an assault.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an attorney, Your Honor.
You must have a very slow practice.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jerome Gigliotti says Monica Kemp did damage to his car at the post office. Monica denies she did anything wrong and says Jerome overreacted by blocking her car for 2 hours.
Let me explain something to you, sir.
You need help.
What you found was a violation. No different from finding somebody parked in front of a fire hydrant. Same kind of violation. The action that you took was not in direct proportion to the violation that you observed. Once, sir, you observed this lady and her children. She had 3 little kids. Wisdom would have been the better part of your action, and if you would have said, I now have the proof to take to the police, this is her car, this is this, she is going to get a ticket for parking in a handicapped spot, which was clearly wrong, you and I would have had no problem. And if she vandalized your car, which I believe that you did, Ms. Kemp.
I see that, but I didn't.
Yes, you did. Your action was not responsive to what you saw, sir. You did not exercise good, mature judgment. Good, mature judgment would have meant once you saw what she had in the car, which was 3 small children, you pulled the car out, let her leave, report it to the police, go to the Army barracks, do whatever you wanted to do in order to see to it that she had to pay an appropriate fine. It would have aggravated her enough to have paid a fine. What you chose to do was to create and incite a situation by blocking her car. That was dumb, stupid, and I guarantee you, if she had been 6'4" and a man walking out of that post office, you would not have blocked the car. No question in my mind, you would not have blocked that car. So,
Your Honor,
I have a loss.
I didn't intend to block her car.
You
I
did.
intended to take down the information.
You
When
did.
she came out, she was so violent that I was absolutely certain it was going to get into fisticuffs.
I don't believe you, sir. I
She's
don't
got
believe
30
you.
years and 30 pounds on
I
me.
don't believe you, sir.
30
All you had
years,
to do,
you wish.
all you had to do was
Look
get
like my
in your
great-grandfather.
car. You had already taken the pictures. Get in your car and leave. And she, with her 3 small children, was not going to assault you. And you will never convince me otherwise, sir. Never. So, you have a lawsuit, and you are suing her for $5,000 for illegally parking in a handicapped space.
Your Honor, I later found out that she lives 1 block.
Assalamu alaikum, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Major Israel Hezbollah missile exchange as region fears escalation. Jerusalem, Beirut, August 25, Reuters, Hezbollah launched hundreds of rockets and drones at Israel early on Sunday, as Israel's military said it struck Lebanon with around 100 jets to thwart a larger attack in one of the biggest clashes in more than 10 months of border warfare. Missiles were visible scrolling up through the down sky. Dark vapor trails behind them as an air raid siren sounded in Israel, and a distant blast lit the horizon, while smoke rose over houses in Khiam in southern Lebanon. 3 deaths were confirmed in Lebanon and none in Israel, where damages appeared to be limited. Hezbollah indicated it was not planning further strikes yet. Israel's regions minister said the country did not seek a full-scale war, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned this is not the end of the story. Any major escalation in the fighting, which began in parallel with the war in Gaza, risk morphing into a regional conflagration, drawing in Hezbollah's backer Iran and Israel's main ally, the United States. Hezbollah said it had fired 320 Qudsiya rocket towards Israel and hit 11 military targets in what it called the first phase of its retaliation for Israel's assassination of Fuad Shukr, a senior commander, last month. A Hezbollah official said it had delayed its retaliation to give a chance for ongoing Gaza ceasefire talks and other political considerations. The official said the group had calibrated it to avoid triggering a full-scale war. Israel's military said it had foiled a much longer attack with preemptive airstrikes on 40 launch sites after assessing that Hezbollah was preparing to launch the barrage. Netanyahu said Israel took preemptive action against Hezbollah, adding that air defenses had intercepted all drones launched against a strategic target in central Israel. Hezbollah dismissed Israel's statement that the group's attack had been foiled with preemptive strikes, saying it had been able to launch its drones as planned and that the rest of its response to Shukr's killing would take some time. Some flights suspended. Expectations of an escalation had risen since a missile strike in the Israeli-occupied Golden Heights last month killed 12 youngsters. The Israeli military assassinated Shukur in Beirut in response. Israel's Securities Cabinet met early in the day and the full cabinet is meeting